Right, we are live. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Kiwi Lads channel. We are back for another match of the British and Irish Lions tour. They were victorious in their first match in Australia up against the Western Force, but now they go head-to-head with the Queensland Reds, a side that finished a little bit higher up on the Super Rugby Pacific table, although they are without some of their Wallabies in this contest, particularly I'd say Tate McDermott, a guy who really was the forefront for them throughout the Super Rugby Pacific season in terms of he was always the guy you saw, he was captaining the side, but in this game, big opportunity for Josh Fluke to be the captain of this Reds team. Looking through at their starting lineup. In the front row it is Aidan Ross alongside Matt Faisler, as well as Jeffrey Tuamunga Allen. Aidan Ross, of course, was playing for the Chiefs in the most recent Super Rugby Pacific season, but he has now transferred to this Queensland Reds side. Josh Canham, the locking duo alongside Lukan Salakai-Lotto, a dangerous duo, which the Lions have actually mentioned are ones that they are watching out for in that line-out battle. And then also Siruru, John Bryant, I should say, as the number 7, and then it will be Joe Bryle as the number 8. Kalani Thomas and Harry McLaughlin-Phillips in the 19 combination. Paisami and Fluke in the middle of the field with Tim Ryan, Lockie Anderson, and Jock Campbell at number 15. Now, the battle out on that left wing side, Tim Ryan going head-to-head with Tommy Freeman. That is pure pace out on that side, and I do think that will be a very entertaining one to watch. Then on the other wing, it's going to be Duan Whanamurva going head-to-head with Lockie Anderson. Could pack a little bit of a punch for those two as well. Looking through at the British and Irish Lions starting lineup, it will be Andrew Porter, Ronan Kelleher, and Will Stewart as the front row. Maro Itoje returns into the side with Ollie Chisholm as English locking partner in that number 5 jersey. Tom Curry, Jack Morgan, and also Jack Conan as the number 8. Now, unfortunately, Jack Morgan, the lone Welshman remaining in this British and Irish Lions squad just for now. Thomas Williams, the heartbreaking news that he did have that hamstring injury after scoring the try last game up against the Western Force, and he is done for the tour, which is a massive shame. In the back line, it is James Gibson Park as the number 9 with Finn Russell at 10. Bundyaki and Hugh Jones make up the midfield for this game. Duan Whanamurva, Tommy Freeman, and the change at number 15. Due to the injury of Hugo Keenan, it does become Elliot Daly, who did have a very strong performance last week up against the Western Force. So I don't think that's going to be a huge hit at 15, but you wonder what extent the injury will be for Hugo Keenan. And at this one, we have got the I'm from Ireland, says James. So it is around an 11 a.m. kickoff for you guys in Ireland, I believe, for this contest. We've got Howdy Hamish and everyone says Studs Race. Welcome in. Hope you're doing extremely well. Hope you're excited for this Wednesday night or Wednesday morning/afternoon game for it's all around the world. Of course, with this British and Irish Lions tour, we get a few midweek games thrown in there for good measure. Just looking through at the schedule and what still remains next week, it will be the Brumbies to have that midweek fixture, and then also a couple games. We have a whole week off, though, for that one, taking place on the Saturday, 12th of July, as well as the 19th, a whole week after the AU New Zealand Invitational XV play before the first big test match up against the Wallabies. But this British and Irish Lions side, they look pretty handy in their first match up against the Western Force, who were competitive in the first about 10-15 minutes of the contest, but unfortunately just couldn't quite put together the points that they needed to, and then the Lions, they just started running away with it. And at that matchup, they had their close game with Argentina before heading to Australia. This game, the Reds come in as $12 underdogs. So the Western Force, just to put that into perspective, they were $16 underdogs. So the Reds slightly more likely to win this game, but not by a massive amount compared to some of those big matches that are still to come in the tour. If this was a full strength Reds side, I do think it would be a little bit different though. But sadly, that's not what we get. And this one, it's an early start today, Hamish, and a pleasant weekday dose of Hamish, says Christopher DeVette. Yeah, it's been a little while since we've had a midweek live stream on the channel. I know that normally it's like an under 20s, or at least it was on the Monday last week, although that's still theoretically part of the rugby weekend. But yeah, I don't think we've done a Wednesday one unless it's like a squad announcement or a random live stream thrown in there for good measure. Do you think the Reds stand a chance after the demo job from the Lions? I think that they'll be more competitive than the Western Force, but I don't think they'll be quite enough to be able to get the victory. Like, this is still a very strong British and Irish Lions side, and a lot of the guys who are in this match, actually played up against Argentina. So the one bonus you've got is perhaps they'll be a little bit low on confidence due to that last loss, and that's when you have to really start the match well. As soon as they let them get 2 or 3 quick-fire tries, I think this game's done. So the Reds have to stay competitive, and a little bit similar to what they did in Super Rugby Pacific when they were able to push some of the top sides. It was from those lightning quick starts. Reds type 5 might make things tricky for the 30 minutes, but then thinking this could get ugly, says Duds Race. And also 10 o'clock kickoff is very late, says Jamie. It is for us here in New Zealand, although it is the time that pretty much every single match will be kicking off for this British and Irish Lions tour. It is an 8 p.m. kickoff for those at Suncorp Stadium, which I believe they're expecting 55,000 in attendance for this match. They had around that mid-40s for the match in Perth. And hi, Hamish, my prediction for the Bok game is Bok 57-7 of Italy, says Marie. So you're predicting before we even see the Italian lineup. And a win by 50, that just shows a lot of confidence, that is for sure. But yeah, I think it's going to be a tough day at the office for the Italians, missing Federico Rosa, Ange Capuzio. I think they had about 7 or 8 other names. One, Inacio Brex, also not there. Paolo Garbisi, missing from their side. Martin Page-Rello. The list does go on. No Lions going to win, says James there. And my name is Tony. Alrighty, the locks are weak, says Angie. Is that for the Lions or for the Reds? Out of curiosity. And honest opinion, do you think the Aussies under 20 turned up on Sunday morning after a demo job from South Africa? Is that your favourite saying now, Kiwi Rob? Demo job. It's already appeared twice from South Africa. And how do you think Australia turn up for the game this weekend? They probably realise that because of not getting the bonus point, they're pretty much out of the competition. Like, they will still be playing right till the end because that is the way that the under-20s comp does work. Italians resting players or injuries. Little bit of both. There are a few injuries in there, but also similar to what we see for the French side in terms of the ones heading to New Zealand. Long top 14 season, and a lot of those Italian guys are a part of certain sides, such as Toulouse or Toulon or Bordeaux, so that's where they're kind of locked into that contract first and didn't quite have enough time to make their way over. And we have got, I think I missed a couple a little bit earlier on, Sonny Bill Williams' performance here. When is he fighting? That's in mid-July, isn't it? So it might only be 1 week away. They'll probably turn up in the team bus, says Christopher DeVette. They are just showing there, Aidan Ross. 11 days ago, he was in the Super Rugby Pacific final alongside the Chiefs, but because this is now after the regular season, he has signed with this Red side. Like they've said, a massive inclusion. British and Irish Lions, they've won 15 of 17 matches versus the Reds. I believe the last time that a Red side beat the British and Irish Lions was back in the 1970s. I believe it was. It was a nervous game from the Baby Blacks, from your opinion. Like, from my opinion, I haven't given my opinion on it. I assume that's like with a question mark at the end of it. It did look a little bit shaky, I guess you could say. In my opinion, as in your one. Yeah, they definitely didn't find their best stride, but I think you'd rather have a couple rough games in your group stage and win them than have a rough game in a playoff and lose it, you know. At least they've now got time to be able to adjust and, you know, I wouldn't say they've got the hardest group out of anyone, although, of course, that game up against the Irish will be a must-win type of game. It looks like we're only about maybe 11 minutes away from the kickoff of this contest. Do, of course, let me know your score predictions for this one, ladies and gents, whether or not you think the British and Irish Lions will be able to go 2 from 2 on Australian soil, or whether maybe the Reds can somehow pull off a massive victory. Hi, how? Says Demon. I assume that's how am I, and I am doing very well. Oh, how are you, Hamish? From Demon? Yeah, nah, it's an exciting time. A midweek game of rugby always feels weird, but then once the game starts, it's a lot of fun. And I do think this game has the potential of being a great one. We've looked through at the starting lineups. We should also, of course, look through at the benches for these sides. For the Reds, they have got Nasser, Blake, and Pangasi as that number 18, Ryan Smith and Angus Blythe. So they have still got a little bit more stock off the bench when it comes to those locks. So I do think this will be one of the harder tests for Mara Itoje as well as Ollie Chisholm in terms of this British and Irish Lions tour, at least up till the stage of those test matches. Anyway, Connor Vest as the number 21, Sean at 22, and then Isaac Henry. That's a name that only about a year ago Was talked about being a little bit of a bolter. He's been a bit more quiet this year, though. I think he's had a couple injuries in the middle of the season, too. Then for the British and Irish Lions, they've got Luke Cowan, Dickie, Alice Genge, and Finlay Bealham as the number 18. Ryan alongside Ben Earl, and then Mitchell as the number 21. Of course, no Thomas Williams due to that injury. Finn Smith, 22, and Gary Ringrose as the number 23. They're just saying about the Hugo Keenan injury. I feel like we're not going to get a full report as of yet. It's probably still one to be confirmed. And good morning, Rugby Peeps, says Johnny. Welcome in. And also we have got there the game against the Irish, who will say who goes top of our pool. Yeah, I do think that Georgia, don't get me wrong, like they're a decent side. And they will be a team to keep an eye on. And they could cause an upset. But yeah, I think it's New Zealand Ireland that will help it out. They are just having a chat here with Matt Fesler before two sides make their way into the tunnel. Evening, bro, to you and your mum. Says Andrew. Welcome in, mate. And the Baby Blacks look bad. New Zealand under-20s lose their head coach just recently, who was doing a good job with them. He was the best coach they had in years. Says them in the 11th, and it's a pity South Africa and England are in the same group for the under-20 championship. Early on, they both look like potential finalists, but the thing is they both can be because it's 3 groups, and the top team from each group go through. Second place team in the best group, like in terms of your best win-loss and best points, goes through as well. So they actually can both go through to the next stage, but it will take a little bit of luck for it to be able to do so. We have got there, are you getting sick, dude? Your eyes look really red, or you just tired? I've been doing a lot of editing today, but yeah, I think I might also be getting sick, which is not ideal with the big weekend coming up. Darcy Graham should have gone on the tour. I agree. I think Darcy Graham definitely could have been an absolute standout. Although, to Matt Hansen's credit, I know that he was the guy that some question whether he should have been there. And I think last game up against the Western Force, he proved that he certainly should be. Like, he was one of the standouts in that last contest. But, yeah, I think Darcy Graham is going to be not too far away from hopefully getting on a plane if there is an injury or anything along those lines. And Baby Blacks look to be improving this year. Apparently, coach walked because his playing style didn't fit with New Zealand rugby. And Noel Alessio, Tom Liner to start game 1 at fly half. Ooh, who's your centre in that case, Xavier? Because I think that will impact it a little bit. And also who the 9 is. Because if it's Tom Liner, they may look at just going with a red and red combo. It's in McDermott starting at 9 and then Tom Liner as the 10. But yeah, it'll be very intriguing to see which way they go. Because Noel Alessio, as everyone is aware of, he is going to be going overseas next year. But at least this year, it is still looking like they're going to back him. Lennon Suoli, that's a dangerous midfield combo. And I would still say, like, I don't know if I would go with McDermott, but I think that if that's the midfield combo, they might go McDermott and Liner. Or you look at maybe going Noel Alessio because of that Len Ikatel connection. I feel like it's all about building little partnerships. When it's the All Blacks lineup, they are announcing their team at 11:45 tomorrow, around close to lunchtime for us here in New Zealand. Kiwi Rob, South Africa, England will win the Junior World Cup this year. New Zealand going out in the under-20s and the semis, and McDermott is way better off the bench. That is true. He does add quite a bit of impact. And to be fair, Liner's not too bad from what we've seen when he gets those little chances late in a game too. So maybe that would be the better way of going. And we have got the Kiwi Rob seems to be on a roll. Definitely not doing the drinking game on a Wednesday, says Christopher. And also we have got there, it's in 15 hours time until 11 something, says Dennis. So yeah, 11:45 when that one should be taking place. They are just showing the highlights of the last time these two sides did play off. I believe it was 2013 that we did see the head-to-head. And what time is it in New Zealand? It's currently 9:54 p.m. New Zealand time. As Suoli really earned the jersey, wasn't this that consistent and impressive for the Tars? I'd say he has. Like, I do think that he's an X-factor type of player, and he's definitely something different that some teams probably haven't had a chance to be able to get used to. Like, in the games that he stepped up for the Waratahs, he was insane. Like, and every once in a while, yes, he had a bit of a poor showing, but that was normally when they just couldn't get him the ball. Like, I do think, and without it sounding like I'm really bigging him up, because I know that normally means that a player does struggle, as we love to jinx people, but I think that he could be a really dangerous option for the Wallabies this year, if he can stay away from injury, because of course that nasty head knock that he took near the end of the year just seemed to really take the Waratahs out. And hello, Kiwi lads, raining here and Greater West Sydney. Yeah, it seems like there's some pretty poor weather over in Australia at the moment. I'm not sure of what the weather conditions are for this game at Suncorp. It doesn't look too bad at the moment. It only takes one game, guys, or one game these days. See, there's Nazi there. Or NZ guy, I should say, sorry. I've just realised we're actually back to original names on YouTube chat as well. I don't know whether or not I'm the only one who's noticed this. I didn't press any buttons or anything, so maybe they trialled it and then people didn't like it, so they went back to actually going with the names instead. I am wishing everyone. Our Reds have a good chance to upset the Lions tonight, says John. Oh, you go on the $12 underdog to pull it off. A bit of sneezing during this game, says Brent the Tent. It's an interesting nickname. Hopefully no sneezing. I haven't sneezed for a couple days, which of course I don't want to jinx it, but I probably have. They are just talking about the 14 changes in the lineup for this British and Irish Lions side. I believe it's 13 now that they did have Elliot Daly move into that number 15 jersey. That is due to the late injury that we saw of Hugo Keenan. I was sad to see Thomas Williams get injured. He's going to miss the tour. He was playing so well. Yeah, that is a massive shame. Not just for the British and Irish Lions, but for him as well, because like you said, he's in some incredible form as one of the only two Welshmen in the side. I feel like he was representing Wales well. But yeah, sadly now it's not going to be there. We have got there, what's your opinion on Moana possibly going out next year? Says Kiwi Rob. It's a massive shame because what we saw from them this season was nothing short of phenomenal. But when you've got so many guys being scouted by other teams and going overseas, some teams can recover from having, I think it's 15 players leaving. But when most of those guys are your starters that helped you get to where you were for that last season, it's going to be tough for Moana either way. And I know they've signed Ngāti Laumape, and that is great. But I'm sure he wasn't cheap. And I just don't know whether or not they've got the depth nor the budget to be able to fully commit to, that season like they just had. Hoping to see Kinghorn on the pitch soon, says SP. This was an AI test run. Soon will be identified by our serial numbers and barcodes tattooed on our necks and or palms. YouTube is just preparing us, says Christopher DeVette. So we're all going to become Agent 47 is what you're saying. Blair Murray should be there, says Demon the 11th, and James O'Connor would like to see him play Lions in his second opportunity against the Lions, says Doc. And Northern Hemisphere better than the Southern Hemisphere, says Brent the Tent. That's a very broad question. As in this tour, or are we talking rugby? We talking temperatures, weather? I mean, with tent in your name, you'd assume you like a little bit of camping. Is it who's got the nicer forests? Perhaps. James O'Connor is overrated. Him not getting picked for Australia, says Kiwi Rob. And also, I can't see anything other than the Lions result today, calling 40-plus points. And I'll take the Lions by 40, says Studs Ray. Okay, so everyone's going pretty high in favour of this British and Irish Lions side. Once again, this is the lineup, ladies and gents, who have made their way onto the field. Going to be a very intriguing one to see exactly how they go. But it's Aidan Ross, Matty Faisler, and Jeffrey Tuamung-Allen, first of all, for the Reds. Josh Canham and Lukan Salakai-Lotto in the locking duo with Siruru, Bryant, and Bryle as a loose forward trio. So no Harry Wilson, no Fraser McRide. And I do think that will hurt the Reds quite a bit here. Kalani Thomas and Harry McLaughlin-Phillips in the 9 and 10 combo. Paisami and Fluke in the middle with Tim Ryan, Lockie Anderson, and Jock Campbell at number 15. Looking through at what the British and Irish Lions have on offer, they've got Andrew Porter, Ronan Kelleher, and Will Stewart in the front row. Maro Itoje and Ollie Chisholm in the locking duo with Tom Curry, Jack Morgan, and Jack Conan as the number 8. Jameson Gibson Park and Finn Russell, who was one of the only players who kept a spot in the starting side for this contest. Bundy Aki and Hugh Jones as the centre pairing with Duan Funna Merva for his first minutes of the British and Irish Lions tour. Tommy Freeman out on the right wing, and Hugo Keenan was supposed to be at number 15, but now it is Elliot Daly due to the Hugo Keenan late injury exclusion that takes him out of this contest. So him all the way, says Johnny, and also we have got there Hamish Plays Hitman, as all arise to get personal information. Says Christopher DeVette, and Fabian Holland, Sam Derry, and Josh Law for our future locks, all pretty young guys. It's just that Josh Law keeps getting injured. Says Tanner, yeah, unfortunately some of those young locks, and Derry's a bit the same. He's starting to get towards, a few too many injuries in recent times. It's just a brutal one. Tent pitching. So who is, I guess in some regards, you want slightly soft ground, don't you, when you're trying to pitch a tent, because or else then the pegs just aren't going in, unless you've got a big hammer. But I have no idea how to transition from big hammer to Jameson Gibson Park out there on the park for this contest. He will definitely be one to keep an eye on. James Dolman, he is the referee charge of this match. In fact, an all New Zealand officiating team. Glenn Newman, the TMO, Ben O'Keefe, Paul Williams, the assistant referees there too. How's your cricket going? Cricket season is almost coming back. It's been a few months since we've had any matches. But yeah, I'm definitely not ready for the new season. I haven't done any running or anything beforehand, but we are just about ready to go for this matchup. The Reds wearing the red with a little bit of the navy blue underneath, and they are kicking off from right to left for the second match of the British and Irish Lions Tour of Australia, with Jack Conan getting to hit the ball up first. I mentioned about it, the start has to be so crucial for this Queensland Reds side. If they fall behind, I just don't see them getting back into it. But if they can keep it competitive early, nice clearing box kick from Jameson Gibson Park, who does find touch. Are you training? I guess not. Here we go. See, here's NZ guy. Now line out throw here for the Reds. Somewhere that Maro Itoje did mention about in terms of a bit of a praise for this Red side was their ability at line out. They've got Josh Canham, Lucan, Salakai Lotto with Ryan Smith also making his way off the bench. And Itoje goes up for it, doesn't take it cleanly. But Kalani Thomas knocking the ball on. And sounds like it's going to actually be a penalty here for the Queensland Reds. Accidental offside coming there. There will now be the chance Finn Russell to kick this one into touch. Go the Reds, says LFG, and play like the Blues 2017, and British Lions are win by 30. And Hi Hamish says, Kevin, welcome in. But yeah, the first line out, it was successful in regards of it went into the hands of Bryle. I think Kalani Thomas just not quite cleaning that one up. Now line out throw for the British and Irish Lions. Ronan Kelleher throwing into the English locking duo, or perhaps the option of Conan at the back. Though not for this line out in particular. They will throw it in. They've tried to find, I believe it was Ollie Chisholm. Ball bounces up for Maro Itoje after it was loose. The Reds unable to pounce. 10 metres out from the line now. The British and Irish Lions popping it up to Chisholm. His number 5 on his back almost looks like a 6 here. Just had to make sure that he hasn't actually changed position heading into this one. It is supposed to be Tom Curry, who I haven't actually seen as of yet. Now back across. No, it's just a weird 5. Now, Gibson Park. 10 metres out from the line again. Jack Morgan, 2-man tackle on him, led by Bryle, and Anderson does flank as well. Now Bundyaki, 5 metres out from the line, but they will go back. Oh, okay, TMO Glenn Newman says there was a knock-on in the breakdown, so they will go back, and it will now be a red scrum 5 metres out from their own line. The Lions line out. It's been bang average poor so far. Need to dial up those drills, fellas. The interesting thing about it, though, was in that game up against Argentina, it was an English hooker throwing to an English locking duo, and it was unsuccessful. And then off the bench, it became an Irish hooker throwing to an Irish lock, and that wasn't working. So it was actually the fellow countrymen who weren't quite getting it right. But I think that's just something that with time will get a lot stronger. At the end of the day, they have got some absolutely world-class locks. And there, it's not Lions, it's Barbarians players, says Farid. And also, we agree there, good morning from Manchester, Nick. Mallet said that the British and Irish Lions don't have the big blokes that really make a difference at test level. Springboks do. What do you reckon? Says Mike. I do think that in comparison to the South Africans, like a lot of sides do look smaller. And it's the same as the under-20s. We saw some blokes who looked like they had 5 kids and a mortgage out there on the field for the South Africans in their game up against the Australians. But, yeah, I do think that this side is definitely going to be competitive up against Australia. In fact, I do think they've got the ability to win this series. Not just took a jumper, also lifter's timing is very important. And I think that is what it comes down to, just not quite having the guys used to each other in that department. Now scrum feet, all going to be fed in by Kalani Thomas. So we already have one era of this matchup, but we're only 4 minutes in, so plenty of time to get it right. And the penalty goes the way of the Reds. That is a massive scrum penalty one. I think it was Aidan Ross with the big push. Of course, that man, like I said, taking part in the Super Rugby final only about 11 days ago. And hopefully AJ Lamb and Riley Higgins get called into the Anzac team to play the Lions, says John. Although I think only one of them might, because I already see that David Havili has been confirmed for that game. So he'll be playing 12 more than likely if he is in the starting lineup. So if they're going to play maybe either of those two at 13, they might make it in. I'm supporting the Lions, but I think Reds is winning, says Alistair there. Springboks are massive. Our Itoje won't make Bok lock position. He's too small, says Farid. Oh, and that one's going to be claimed by the Reds again at line-out time. Now Tuamanga Allen, once again a little bit scrappy after that ball has been slapped back. Thomas rush defence there from Will Stewart, who I think is fired up after losing that scrum. Wants to get a little bit of physicality going. Currently 5 minutes into this contest. Kalani Thomas once again rolling this ball back. Does fire it up high. And towards the halfway line. That's nicely taken by Tommy Freeman, but he's knocked the ball on. They will go back for yet again another scrum. A little bit of a scrappy start to this contest for these two sides. It can be expected though. I feel like there's probably still a few more nerves out there on the field at the moment. But yeah, I was mentioning about the Anzac team that was confirmed in terms of a few of the guys. I think Shannon Frizzell is another guy that's been confirmed in that lineup. I've got a picture somewhere that had first players announced. Yeah, Havili, Shannon Frizzell, Sean Stevenson, Folau Fakatava. I think there were 2 others as well that got added in. Nari Laumape and Josh Fusitua, the other 2 names that I've seen. So if you've got Nari Laumape and you've got David Havili, I do think Lamb and Higgins' chances do dwindle a little bit. Covering the Black Ferns versus Black Ferns 15? Probably not. That's on Saturday, isn't it, Kevin? But that one now going off to the right-hand side. Kalani Thomas, hunted by Sami, pops it up now. Tim Ryan met in the middle of the field by Gibson Park. Still makes about 5 extra post-contact meters. Kalani Thomas across the Sururu. A few of these guys for the Reds, of course, on the verge of that Wallaby squad if there are injuries. Have to stay ready. Thomas goes across the Paisami, breaks through and gets the offload now to Tim Ryan, middle of the field. It's a good start to the match for the Reds when it comes to their attack. That was a knock-on from Kalani Thomas. They may have missed that one, although Glenn Newman did pick up another knock-on earlier on in the game, so perhaps we'll have a look at that one too. I guess on Saturday, says Kevin. Now passed across, popped up. Out now to Jock Campbell. Still numbers on the outside here. Josh Canham telling the Reds teammate Bryle to cut inwards. They move 20 metres out here. Crowd making a bit of noise for Sururu as well. Up to 10 phases in a row here for the Queensland Reds. Josh Canham 10 metres out. Maro Atoje loses his footing, so he has to leave it alone. Still tries to grab it a little bit on the ground. Slow it down slightly more. Bryle 5 metres out from the line. This is the start that the Reds needed. Aidan Ross runs straight at Porter. Sururu, pick and go, new advantage, this time for offside against the British and Irish Lions. Short ball to Jeffrey Tuamanga Allen, gets over the line. And the home side strike first with a big smile on the dial of Tuamanga Allen. And the crowd at Suncorp are absolutely loving it. And they rip through them Lions, the Reds. And come on, the Reds, says Doc there in Evening Hamish. We'll be watching the Rugby International matches the weekend. This weekend, some decent games on. We certainly will be. We'll be covering quite a few of them on the channel too. But Jeffrey Tuamanga Allen It was the initial break, though, from Hunter Paisami. Got through Will Stewart as well as Andrew Porter. And that's magic while the team try. See, studs race. Yeah, everyone playing their individual roles there. Bryle with a good run that got them that extra 10 metres and right on the verge of the try line. And then Tuamung Allen, he's allowed one movement. Sounds like Kalani Thomas, says Barry Hawke. And also that schoolboy stuff from the British and Irish Lions. Fair play, Red, says Johnny. And well, good effort to the Reds, says Mike. And also you have a game at 4 a.m. Saturday morning, by the way, Hamish. I assume you're talking about the under-20 South Africa versus England game. I'm still not 100% sure if we're covering that one, but we probably will end up doing it. And hey, mate, is it raining? It is dry. It looks like a great afternoon, or great evening, sorry, for them. Yeah, just reaches out to among Allen. And also, it's great you're covering the Lions warm-up games. Don't forget to smash like and subscribe, everybody. See, here's Nicky. Anyone who hasn't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We are here for every game, or at least 90% of them, of the British and Irish Lions tour. Straight away, the Lions on attack. Gibson Park, 20 metres out from the line, goes off to Atoje on the right. Tommy Freeman, skip pass. Wasn't supposed to be. It went straight through the grasp of Jack Conan. Now an advantage to the Lions. Tom Curry pops it up to Porter. Offloads to Atoje. 10 metres from firing back here for the Lions. Back line movement through the hands of Archie and then dropped by Hugh Jones. They will go back now to one fun to Merva. Having a little bit of push and shove there with Lockie Anderson. The two having a bit of a chat. I mentioned about how that wing, it will be physical. No, Baby Blacks versus Georgia? No, probably not. I'm planning on doing New Zealand versus Ireland, though, if it doesn't overlap with anything. I think that is Lukan Salakai-Lotto who has been penalised for that one. Yeah, just a little bit of afters there. It looks like Dawn Fundermerva. He's having a little bit of a chat there with Lockie Anderson, who was trying to use Duhan's shirt as a way of standing up. Looking forward to your review of the All Blacks team naming tomorrow, Hamish, says John. Yeah, we'll be around midday here in New Zealand that it is announced. Could be some interesting ones. I'm looking forward to seeing whether or not Razor is going a little bit braver this year than what we saw throughout 2024. Line out throw here for the British and Irish Lions. Just the 5 metres out from the line. Thrown in. Mato Atoje takes it. And now rolling maul starts here for the British and Irish Lions. Been told to use it once. Gibson Park searching for it at the back. I believe Bundy Aki is playing the role of hooker at the moment. He has got a 2 on his back, just with the 1 in front, and now he's almost got a try to his name, but he's held up. Great defence from the Reds, and that'll be a goal line dropout. It overlaps with Aussie versus England. Says Kiwi Rob. I assume that's in the under-20s as well. So yeah, we probably won't be doing that one either. James Dolman. Just watching on Bundy Aki. I think that's just landed on someone's foot, unfortunately for Aki. He was close to getting it down. It might have been his own teammate's leg that ended up stopping it from going down. How big is the Lion squad? Must be quite a few. I believe it's 30, 36, 38, something like that. It's actually smaller than South Africa's home series squad, though I did learn, which was a bit of an interesting one. So for 4 matches, including that match up against the Barbarians, the South Africans have got about 44, I think it is. Whereas for a 10-match series in Australia, the British and Irish Lions have got about 38. And please bring back the 5-metre scrums. Set studs race. Sounds like Atoje is fired up and standing out busy. He's trying his best to get into this contest because I know that as the captain for that game up against Argentina, he would have received quite a bit of criticism for them losing, and as a skipper, you know, you get used to people keeping an eye on you, and in the early stages of this game, it just seems like he's got a bit of a chip on his shoulder. I've seen 3 years, though, from the Lions. My normal name is back. Yeah, I don't know what happened with the YouTube side of things compared to last weekend, but they've obviously decided that they didn't like the ats as people's names, so it has gone back. It's Aussie versus England and Ireland versus Baby Box on Thursday morning next week. So yeah, we'll end up covering Ireland versus New Zealand if we were to do either. What colour are the Reds wearing? They are wearing the maroon as the kind of top third of their kit, and then the bottom half is kind of like a navy blue. So a little bit of a mixture kit for this matchup. Not a mile off what they have had on for the regular season, with the exception of maybe just a bit less red. And we have got there, went to the movie world in the Gold Coast today. Went and told Sammy Guevara on his YouTube. He replied, have a blast at Movie World. Oh, you went and told Sammy Guevara. He replied, have a blast. Well, hopefully you did enjoy Movie World then. And g'day, Jam. I see the Reds winning by 5 points. Says Leo Sagan with the bold prediction for the first time in about 50 years. It would be the victory for a Red side, but now big attack and run forward from Josh Fluke. Almost stolen though. Jack Morgan over the ball, the Welshman, and gets the ball back for the Lions. Gibson Park away to the left-hand side. They sit 40 metres out from the line. Duan Fundermerva, one Scotsman linking up with another, and Russell. Now, Russell again involved. Gives it off to Tom Curry, who hits into a wall. Aiden Ross may have ended up with a cut above his eyebrow there, the way that he was reaching at it. Now Russell back across to the right-hand side. Hugh Jones short ball to Jack Morgan. Getting tackled well by Tim Ryan, who has a size discrepancy with a lot of men that he tries to tackle, but he's forced an error. And the ball comes loose. The Reds kick it downfield, and they put it into touch. We have got there, do you think Geordie will still be in the All Blacks in 2029 for the next Lions tour? He would join a very short list of players to play against the Lions in 2 series. Okay, Tim Ryan actually did that illegally. They've just shown the replay on the ground. He did rip it. So surely if the TMO can go back for knock-ons, he can go back for cynical play in the breakdown, can't he? At the moment, I don't want to be critical, but we've seen 2 times that he probably could have looked at something that the Reds did and he hasn't. But the one time the Lions did something, it got checked straight away. Now Bundyaki back across here. Nice short ball. Duan Fundermerva passes on the outside to Tommy Freeman, who's eyeing up the corner, but he's got 3 Reds in front of him. Now looking for the steal in the breakdown there, the Reds, but the ball's still on the side of the Lions. Jack Conan tackled by the rush defence of Lukan Salakaialoto. Gives him Park, back to Russell Aki, holds, gives it off to Hugh Jones. Now Elliot Daly pops it on the inside. I don't know what happened there. It's got to have connected with someone's hand, I would think. It looks like it's going to be an option of either a scrum for the Reds or a line out. But we're going to see it now. Oh no, that's the other wing. But yeah, something about that pass from Daly just looked like it kind of dribbled out of the hands. Here we go. This angle will show it. Oh, he passes into his own arm. Elliot Daly. That's quite hard to do, I would think. But he was really trying to cut it right behind him. Territory at the moment is in favour of the Lions with 66%. Possession is 60%. Tackle completion a little bit higher for the Reds, sitting at 79% compared to the Lions, who are tackling at 74%. Are going to win in wild tomorrow, and the Gold Coast Marathon is on this weekend. And don't get too excited if the Reds win, because the Wallabies might not be as good as the Reds. So it's a cool story. I think that some people would still get very excited if the Reds were able to win. Like I mentioned, the last time that they won up against the Lions was back in 1970. So, there'll still be a bit of excitement for the Queenslanders, I would think, and they need a bit of excitement, a bit of motivation heading into State of Origin decider. Currently sitting 1-1. That's going to be now another penalty at scrum time going the way of the Reds. Andrew Porter has not been getting along with Southern Hemisphere refs so far this tour. Hasn't quite worked out what is the best case scenario for him. Reds front row completely or currently expressing themselves. Says Studs Race. Are you going to do a trial match for the Black Ferns or the Scottish versus Māori All Blacks game? If either on Saturday. If we were going to do one of those two, it would probably be the Māori All Blacks. But once again, nothing quite confirmed as of yet. You're covering the State of Origin Game 3. I want to, but I also do think it overlaps directly with the Brumbies match of the British and Irish Lions tour. So it's a little bit of a complicated one that we should probably only do one of them. But I'll have a quick look. I might have my weeks wrong, but I don't think that's the case. I think they are both on next Wednesday. Back into the pocket here for the Reds. Little step there from Kalani. Thomas goes through, lined up by Atoje, but he breaks out of the tackle, tries to find the offload, but is unable to do so, and Atoje's managed to somehow take that ball back. Aiden Ross just playing the Super Rugby final. Quick turnaround for the lad. Absolutely. 11 days ago, he was playing for the Chiefs. And now he finds himself in the Reds lineup. ASA overlap, says Kiwi Rob, and commentary Kiwi Lad says, thank you very much, and glad Jack Morgan is playing well. It's weird seeing Ross in a Reds jersey. It is, but he's found his feet straight away, hasn't he? Already winning a couple penalties in the front, or in the scrums for this contest. We're seeing some big shots coming in from both of these sides. I think Russell may have got one back there, in terms of the same way that Tim Ryan won the penalty, or won the turnover. See how Russell got that one, but now rolling maul, 5 metres out from the line, it collapses there, and the Lions have the penalty advantage. Bundyaki pops it up now, Russell on the outside, Daly goes to Tommy Freeman, who will finish it off for the first try of the contest for the British and Irish Lions. I think they should have played Super Rugby XV, says Katzenell. Well, they kind of, in a way, are with the AU and NZXV. It's kind of made up of guys from that Super Rugby competition. We've already seen Falau Fakatava, David Arveli, Sean Stevenson, all being announced in the side already, plus a few extras, but good finish from Tommy Freeman with his pace. And hey, I'm guessing you won't be doing the Tars versus Lions game, says Kiwi Rob. Why is that? Does it overlap with something else, I assume? Yeah, good finish from Freeman. Tim Ryan just not able to stop him, and that now gives the Lions, like I mentioned, their first try in this match. And we have ticked over to 20 minutes in this contest. Russell gets it over. And come on the Lions, says Nick. And GTA deserve the first try for the Reds, says Daniel in there as well. Yeah, good back line. Couple Scotsmen linking up first, and then it went into the hands of Tommy Freeman. The pass of Elliot Daly, a man who was added into the lineup late due to the injury of Hugo Keenan. I'm not too sure how serious that one is at this point in time, but it's a bit of a concern. And cheers for this, I'm in London at work. You're my highlight of today to hear this game, says Crispy Alcoholic. So I do appreciate you being here. Hopefully time does fly by at work. It's a bit of an awkward time, isn't it, in terms of, you know, a midday game on a midweek fixture, I guess you could call it, but yeah, it is greatly appreciated you being here. Currently inside of their 22, the British and Irish Lions, Gibson Park. Trying to find the ball. He can't actually find it, though. It's going to be on his other foot. Now picked it up, puts it back down, and then gets bulldozed over by one of the Reds players. So it will be a line out now. Didn't get a huge amount of distance at all. Does Pumas have access to all players or more rested? Says Studs Rays. They're a little bit similar to the Italians as well as the French. How some of their guys were tied up with the top 14, so they may be a little bit later joining if they do. Sorry, it starts after the All Blacks game, says Kiwi Rob. And do Wallabies only get one warm-up game and British and Irish Lions get 6? Correct, yeah. It's a bit brutal. And, you know, I think that the way they're... Well, it's an interesting one because theoretically, if they weren't talking about injuries and everything along those lines, the guys who made the Wallabies could play for their provinces, and some of them are going to be playing in these warm-up fixtures. So in that regard, they get a couple games. That looked like a knock-on from Kalani Thomas in the breakdown again. Maybe it's just the way that he picks that ball up, but I swear that one of them did go forward just then. Now ready to go off to the right-hand side. Kalani Thomas finds Siru Uru. The Reds currently on attack again, trying to find another way over the try line. First one scored by Jeffrey Tuamunga Allen. Freeman seems underrated, says, was there from John and Best Rugby Commentary Channel, Kiwi Lad Buddy, says him, do appreciate that. And Aidan Ross deserves a well-needed rest after this game, says Ruts. Yeah. But if there's a couple more injuries, he could find himself, that's going to be loose from Duan Fundamerva. My apologies for cutting myself off there. Did I just apologise to myself? I think I was more apologising that I cut off your question. Oh, Gibson Park's upside down. Put him down. Right, they have. And now it's luckily going to be all right. It almost looked like he was going to give him the pile driver. That would certainly hurt the neck. Now going off, Finn Russell on the 22. British and Irish Lions trying to find their way through this Reds defence. Been told to use it again. It's fair in that the Lions need experience as the team desperately. Says Cool Story. Should we live stream the first All Blacks name for their first game for 2025? Possibly not. I feel like for the All Black squad, it made sense to do the lineup live, but then, the lineup tomorrow is just more so a midweek. Like, we'll end up with a video within probably 30 minutes to an hour after it's announced, but I don't know whether or not, like, doing a live stream for it's something that people actually want to see. Nice tackle made on Tim Ryan. Now Kalani Thomas, back across to the right-hand side, big shot again. And Mental should be a penalty just for putting him in that situation regardless of how he lands. Says Studs Race on the halfway line. Oh, ball stolen on the ground, a little bit cheeky. I think it was Jack Morgan might have swatted that one back. And Australia versus Fiji is on Sunday afternoon. Kiwi lads, yes or no? We will decide a little bit closer to the weekend. If I schedule it, I'm doing it. If I don't schedule it, then we won't. But I'm more than likely going to be doing that match. But yeah, who knows? Maybe the power's out at that stage. Anything can happen. So we have a plan of which ones we might do. But then, if anything happens, then of course it is more a little bit subject to change. That one's a nice kick from the Reds. The one Thunder Merva just having a bit of a rough time trying to control that ball, which initially put them inside of their own in-goal area. And he did well to work it out. And then Gibson Park, we see it there for Joe Bryle. I don't think he meant to flip him. He just ended up picking him up in the wrong place. Will you go to any of these games? I will not know. I think a lot of them are sold out, at least the early ones, but I am also in New Zealand rather than Australia, which I know is still probably close enough that had I been organised, I could have potentially considered it. But we'll end up covering them, though, on the channel instead. We have got there, Duan is overrated and Darcy should have gone instead, says Adam. Yeah, I do think that Darcy Graham was pretty unlucky in terms of missing out. Kalani Thomas tries a little kick him on. That was terrible defence from Duhan Fundamerva, and the try for the Reds. It is the captain, Josh Fluke, and they have taken the lead back. What was Duhan Fundamerva doing there? I think it was just a case of too many men that he had to try and cover. But that just seemed like he was waiting for a bounce with no urgency. Oh no, he wasn't even close to it. We might have been a bit harsh. He was trying to cover out wide. He had no one with him. And pretty much about 3 individuals to try and cover, and Duhan was about a 2 or 3 metre short away from it. And it sits up for Josh Fluke, though. And the Reds are firing in this contest. Cheers to watching from Dublin office, says CG. And there, that kick has missed away to the side. And it is now going to make the score 12 points to 7. And Josh Fluke, you son of a gun, says Doc. And also, where's the cover? Lions look very shaky here. It just seemed like maybe what was Hugh Jones asking for? He was asking for a knock on, I think because he knew that he got completely outrun by the man in front of him. And Duan in South Africa is a club rugby player, and Europe plays for Lions. Says for Red, and where's the cover? Oh no, I read that one, didn't I? Why is it not showing the rugby matches on free-to-air like this game? That's a great question, and I mentioned about it on the last one between the Western Force and the British and Irish Lions. Like, you have the test matches paid, if that's the way you're looking at it. But these ones should be free, But then I think it's actually the tests up against Australia, some places in the world, those are the free ones. But, people would love to see these matches on YouTube or on Rugby Pass or wherever you can get them. Kalani Thomas does kick it into touch. Watching from Corkin Island, says him there. And Red alerts, Reds are extremely hot at the moment, says Doc. Yeah, they came into this match as $12 underdogs. I doubt they'll be sitting at that at the moment with how they've started in this contest. Once again, this Lions side, pretty similar to what we saw in their first match up against Argentina. Just look a little bit, I want to say a little bit rusty in terms of some positions. The back line's not quite linking up either. Now going back across to the left-hand side, Bundyaki, skip pass now, finds Elliot Daly, Duan Fundamerva. He's going to be hard to stop from here, but they have been able to drag him down. Brave defence from Lockie Anderson with Ronan Killahan now receiving the ball. Couple metres out from the line. Andrew Porter tries to step the big Irishman. Gibson Park back to Russell. Hesitancy, but finds Tommy Freeman, who tried to reach out. He hit the post. and they're going to have a look at it. I watch it on a beach in Sicily. CS Ball, so hopefully the weather is nice for you over there. Awesome commentary game. Cheers. Excited that the All Blacks are playing on Saturday, and $12. Who's the bookies? Need bigger glass, says Doc. Right, so they've said it was close to the line. I thought it was on the post, to be honest. And Kiwi watching the game from Melbourne, go the Lions. Says Ashley, right, replay here. Tommy Freeman stretches out. Short. Doesn't quite get there. And also, it brushes the post. But then by then, I think he's lost control of it, has he? You know, that's just short by the looks of that. So it's going to be no try, but they already had the penalty advantage, which does mean that they should be able to just go back for it. Nice and easy. Well, Hamish, I'm going to bed now. Great to watch Mysteries at the Museum on TV. Great program, says Kevin. I watch them from New Zealand, says Tamahay. And also, right now, I was previewing how good of a club side the Crusaders are. Reds going good against Lions, but got killed versus Crusaders in the finals, says Xavier. Yeah, that one 32-12, wasn't it? Or something like that for the Reds. I've got it here. Yeah, 32-12. This is the form that the Reds have beaten. As you can see, some of those games up against New Zealand opposition has been quite close, but they were a bit 50-50 at times throughout the year, definitely in the later stages. At the start of the season, they were winning pretty much every single game. This looks like a tap-and-go opportunity here for the Lions. No taking the threes, only eyeing the try line. Ronan Kelleher throws himself at the line, but can't get over. Now pick and go from Andrew Porter. He's over now, and it will be the fourth try of the first half. Announced pronounced Tamahi. My apologies. And we have got there. It was 39 degrees in Taipei today. Real feel was 42, and since I'm poor, I couldn't lie down on the beach and had to work. Says Christopher. Nice finish there from Andrew Porter, lying down over the try line. But the pick and go is successful. Just see on that short side, Siruru trying to cut him off, but he may have gone a little bit too low. It's nicely done. We have got there, Fareed. He'll be trying to say that New Zealand have a few guys like from different places. He uses this narrative every single time. Unfortunately, it's a try fest. So here's Mike. And it might be good commentary if he stopped telling us about other stuff in himself. Very difficult to follow progress in this match. Says Colin, I apologise. I would recommend the radio commentary if you are looking to actually know what's completely going on. It's pronounced like you're saying hi to someone, says Tamahai. Now, score going to be sitting 14 points to 12. Now, another kickoff here for the Reds. They have decided to go deep 10 metres out from the line. Gibson Park will look to fire this one downfield. Does get it into touch. Very good distance on that Gibson Park clearance. Currently 30 minutes through this matchup. Now, Paul Williams signaling when the line out is. 45 metres out. Good driving, Lions. Where you get your license from, mate? Says Doc there. But now, throwing this one in. Maro Itoje just a little bit short on that line out. Tim Ryan. And across into the midfield to Josh Fluke, who did manage to score the last try for the Lions. Ball on the inside to Siruru. Now, Thomas. Having a duck out of the way for that one was Conan. Thomas skipping around the breakdown. However, there, Colin, go pay for Sky Sports if you're not happy with his commentary, says Jamie G. Now, Tuamunga Allen, 40 metres out from the line. I thought Iru was injured there for a second. I'm basically only here for the personal and other stuff, says Christopher. Now, big driving tackle there from Tom Curry. Lani Thomas looking to send a box kick up. This is only 40 metres out from the Lions line, so a little bit of a different tactic there. It sits up for Tim Ryan. It looked like a knock-on from Freeman, so there will be a knock-on advantage in play. Siruru with the offload to Kalani Thomas. Porsche on the first half from the Lions again, says James. Yeah, it just hasn't quite been the smoothest matchup, unfortunately, for them, although they've had a couple decent tries thrown in there, and they are in the lead at this current point in time, but the Reds have stayed competitive a lot longer than we saw from the Western Force. The big thing will just not be to allow the Lions more than a 7-point lead at any stage throughout this match. Now dropping the head, Conan makes the tackle. Now Lukan Salakaia-Lotto back to Paisami. Little bit of a step there, all doesn't get through Tim Ryan. In fact, that time it was Harry McLaughlin-Phillips driven back by Finn Russell. We can always count on Hamish to bring us all the rugby games, says Tommy. And also we have their sneakily listening at work, go the Reds, says Suckerbull. I'll try not to talk too loud then. Yeah, do appreciate you being here. Now kicked up high once again. Kalani Thomas lining it up. Great take from Daly. It was not an easy one. But he has managed to claim the mark. Watching from South Wales in the UK, says John Morgan. I do appreciate you being here. Of course, only the one Welshman left in this side, unfortunately, due to Thomas Williams' injury last game up against the Force. He was in some fantastic form, unfortunately, before that injury. 2 tries for him in that match. Looked like a star off the bench. Jack Morgan doing well for Wales at the moment. He's already got 1 or 2 turnovers in this match. Speaking of turnovers, Jack Conan almost got himself one there. Now pop pass from Jeffrey Tormunga-Allen. Bit of a miscommunication there between the Reds and the counter-attack coming for the Lions. Curry on the outside to Fundamurva, who breaks through Bryle. Now Elliot Daly having a fend off Harry McLaughlin-Phillips. Pops it up to the right-hand side, finds Porter. Been a fast-paced first half for these two sides. Jack Morgan, ball on the outside. Curry links up with Fundamurva again, who manages to bump off Bryle. Tries to shove through McLaughlin-Phillips onto the ball there. No turnover. Coming for the Reds, Jack Conan. Running it straight. Oh, Mado Atoje, that was a bit aggressive from him. Lukan Salakaia-Lotto sits him down and says, do you want to think about what you're doing there, Atoje? Oh, interception, but they'll go back for the original knock on. Joe Schmidt is very smart, coach. He must be smiling with these Lions' performance, says Fareed. I'm looking forward to seeing Taukei'aho in action, bro, against France, says Andrew Neal. And also, thanks for the commentary. What colour kits are they wearing? And is there a colour clash? So not massively in terms of the colour clash. The British and Irish Lions, of course, wearing that red strip. And then the Reds they've got a little bit of maroon pretty much on the shoulders down to about the chest. And then the rest of their kit, including their shorts, is pretty much dark blue, kind of like a navy blue colour. So really not a massive amount of clashing. I'll see if I can find it. Strip. What do we got? Special edition jersey, is it? It's kind of like this. I'll see whether or not... Oh, no, it wants me to save the whole web page. Okay, it is their special edition series jersey, though. All right, ball rolling back. That didn't seem very legal from Siruru. He rolled the ball back with his hand in the scrum as it didn't quite get fit. And he's going, what do you mean? I didn't do nothing. I think the replay might show otherwise. And they've decided to take the quick tap now. Again, the Lions, Jack Morgan. 10 metres out. Gibson Park shifting away to the left with Finn Russell popping it up again for Stewart. And we have got there, I don't back down out of respect for Hamish. I want to move on, says Fareed. And that is a great bit of work there from Duan Fundamurva. Manages to score in the corner. That kind of, it looked like they were going to try their backline, but just powers over. Fundamurva, a bit too big for Lockie Anderson. Maybe his dad, great loose forward for the Reds and the Wallabies. Oh, they are just showing Jock Campbell. Perhaps he was the one who got run over, but Gibson Park went across to the left, and it was just quick hands. Duan Fundamurva, though, getting tackled near the touchline by Jock Campbell. I don't think they need to check it, though, because he still had about a metre to work with. Now a bit more of a lead coming for the Lions. Appreciate your commentary. Hampshire listening from BKK. Says Trevor there. And same-ish as the Western Force game so far, points per minute. Will it blow out in the second half when the bench comes on? I think it might even blow out a little bit before the second half gets underway. It just seems like now the Lions have found their rhythm. Great kick from Finn Russell right next to the touchline too. And that'll make the score 21 points to 12. And only about 4 minutes ago, I said that they cannot afford to give the Lions more than a 7-point lead. Now they've got it. Listening from a holiday in Corfu. English come on the line, says Marilyn. And also, I honestly think the Aussie, Argentina, All Blacks and South Africa side would win 20 plus versus Lions with how the Lions are playing, says Xavier. Who's winning the contact battle so far? The loose forward trio, I would say, for the Reds are being pretty physical, although across the forward pack, at times, I honestly think 50-50. I'm just thinking about breakdowns that I can remember off the top of my head. Like, the Reds have won the scrum battle at this point in time. Oh, loose ball! That is poor from the Lions! It's hit the post at the back, or the flag of the dead ball area, missed by the Lions. If this one hits the post, or the flag, bounces back in, that's not out, is it? Paul Williams, one of the assistant referees, has got a little bit of a smile on his face. I think he enjoyed that one. Right, time is off. They are going upstairs, ladies and gents, but have the Reds just fired straight back? It was poor from the Lions not to be able to regather off the kickoff. Right. If it hits the corner flag and stays in, it will be a try for Lockie Anderson, and one of the most bizarre tries we will see of this British and Irish Lions tour. So it's kicked off long. First off, does it hit? Oh, it doesn't hit a player for the British and Irish Lions, which would actually mean it goes back for a scrum. Oh, he missed the grounding though. He forces it down with his body, I believe, rather than his hands. If he had lined it up a little bit better, I think that would have been a try. But because he kind of went for the ball before it bounced, he actually misses it with his hands. He was also going to be in touch anyway. So I believe this goes right back to the halfway line for a scrum in favour of the Lions now. And Saruru was stuck in dream time, says Johnny Blaze. And why is Duan starting? He was bad against Argentina, says Tane. Okay, so initially they were looking at it as a goal line dropout. I think I heard them say. It goes dead without anyone touching it. So what turned into almost a magical try now is actually really punishing for the Reds, as they will go right back to the halfway line. What's the reason for so many handling errors from the Lions? I think it's just incohesion, to be honest. Like, the conditions are pretty nice for, like, in terms of the weather, but, you know, there's still rust there in terms of learning each other, learning the chemistry of new combinations. We have got there Aiden Ross. I will play for the Reds and the Wallabies next year, says Tane. We have got their top class commentary. Where's your fat mate? It's me, isn't it? I've been putting on the pounds recently. I've been going straight to the gut. But yeah, I assume you're talking about George. You should have just said the loud one who swears all the time. I would have known exactly who you were meaning. That's going to be the penalty advantage now going the way of the British and Irish Lions. Finn Russell now firing it out wide to the hands of Tommy Freeman. And up the Wallabies, says Tane. And also on my back, 3 for the test. 1 will be Lowe, Kinghorn and Freeman. And Mr. who scored the third Lions try. Third try was scored by Duan Fundermerva out on the left wing. But Will Stewart now. It's this ball in hand. Gibson Park goes across. They are targeting this left side when it comes to their attack at the moment for the Lions. Someone just threw someone's boot away. I'm not 100% whose boot it was. It looked orange to me. But someone's probably trying to get a shoe back on about now. Elliot Daly passes out to Curry. Now one more Freeman. 3 Englishmen in a row. Kicking on the inside. Gibson Park wanted the ball, but it goes into the hands of McLaughlin Phillips. 10 metres out from the line. They will not shift the line from the breakdown, but he did not have his hands on the ball. Appreciation from Jacksonville, Florida. Says, is it Pubin Nardette? Hopefully I've said that correctly. Now running it forward to one Fundermerva. Goes off to the left-hand side. Skip past Gallardo. Knocks the ball on. And they'll go back for another scrum. 90 seconds remaining in what has been a fast-paced first half of rugby. And France vs. Box, the greatest rugby game in our generation, says Fareed. And we have got there, where is this match being held? It is being played at Suncorp Stadium in Queensland. It's been some pretty rough weather in certain parts of Australia at this point in time, but luckily Queensland not been one of them. A listing from Tenerife, go on the Lions. CSG man. And who's on the front foot? I would say the Lions, their attack has been the one that's looked the most likely to bust through, whereas the Reds, their tries that they've been able to score have just been from really strong little bit of forward work and then finding a way with that back line. So I do think that the structure of the Reds still seems to be there from their Super Rugby season, whereas, the Lions are definitely the counter-attacking more likely to score. Our Lions fan watching are from Punjab in North India, says Stephen, so welcome in. And listening from Cumbria, go the Lions, says Lee. It's going to be a free kick now going the way of the Reds, who have got 6 seconds remaining in this first half. Down by 9 at the moment. That's the siren. Do they just tap and kick it out? Yes, they do. They accept a 9-point deficit going into the second half. 21 points to 12 for this matchup in Queensland. Listening from Melbourne, my team was meant to play the Lions. They no longer exist, says Darcy. So I assume that is a Rebels fan there. Yeah, big shame about the Rebels. It would have been quite nice to see them take part in this Lions tour. But of course, running out of, opportunity in Super Rugby. I am, says Daniel. Welcome in. And also, Lions get smashed at scrum times by Dolman. Says Suds Rays and Rebels. Yes, says Darcy. And 9, that is going to hurt them. Yeah, it's a little bit too much of a margin than I'm sure what they would have liked. Of course, they would have loved to be in the lead at this point in time. Well done, the Reds and the British and Irish Lions. Yeah, it was thoroughly entertaining first half of rugby for a Wednesday night or Wednesday afternoon, depending on where you are all in the world. Plenty of matches taking place this weekend as well, including another match of the British and Irish Lions tour. We'll just look here quickly. The next game will be up against the Waratahs, taking place in, I believe it's only 3 days now. Wait, Thursday, Friday. Yeah, 3 days. It was 4 days at the time that I did get that picture, but the Brumbies, they will be in 1 week's time. Now, I'm not sure about that Waratahs game with the serious flooding that has happened in some places in New South Wales. They might actually end up having to postpone or try and reshuffle that game a little bit, depending on the weather. Of course, it should be fine by then, but you just never know. We have to keep an eye on that one, of course. Then those 3 big test matches, the 19th of July, 26th, and also the 2nd of August as the last match for the tour. In terms of this weekend of international rugby, there are plenty more games that are taking place. Don't worry about the times in terms of that little thing that says the countdown clock. For the New Zealand Māori, they are going to be playing up against Scotland at 3:35 p.m. on the Saturday afternoon for us here in New Zealand. New Zealand then taking on the French at 7:05. Waratahs versus British and Irish Lions, that is happening at 9:45. And between those 2 New Zealand games, Japan versus Wales happening as well. In terms of the rest of that day, as well as the next day, Sunday morning for us here in New Zealand, 3:10 a.m. South Africa taking on the Italians. Argentina versus England, that is at 7:40. With Georgia taking on Ireland, just like they did in the Under-20s Rugby Championship. And then on Sunday, there is USA versus Belgium and Australia taking on Fiji. Their lone test match taking place before the British and Irish Lions matches that they have got as well. We have got the how big is the crowd? They expected 55,000. I'm not sure whether or not they got that, but they've got 55,000 tickets sold. So I'd say they'll be somewhere near that, maybe 50,000 at least here. Well done, Reds and British and Irish Lions, says Johnny Blaze. And also what is happening now, it is now half time in this contest, 21 points to 12. Current score, hello from South Coast of Ireland, says Chef, welcome in. And just tuned in, how's the game? Fast-paced, thoroughly entertaining, a little bit rough from both sides at times, but that's kind of what you expect from an early stage of the Lions tour match. But I do think that in the last maybe 15 or so minutes, the Lions have started to look like they are on the same page. There's a little bit of indecisiveness in the first 25, and that's where the Reds did manage to score themselves the 2 tries, but they will need much more than that in the second half. They cannot afford to be down by this 9-point window for much time at all, or else the Lions are only 1 big break away from getting themselves another try. Reds win handicap, easy 32 points. CSM, and also Imagine Lions and Super Rugby, says Tamahai. And also it's the same for the Cheetahs. They aren't playing any meaningful rugby. They have produced a massive amount of Springboks, says Christopher. A few random unknowns playing for the Reds tonight. Sucks the Wallabies haven't released all their players, says Johnny Blaze. And also All Blacks versus France. We'll test All Blacks up front, says Farid. What position is Bryle? Is he related to Michael? Not sure if he's related to Michael Bryle, but in this game he's playing number 8. And I believe throughout the regular season, Did he also play 7 or 6 for the Reds? I know that he had to rotate a little bit because, of course, normally they'd have Mick Wright as well as Harry Wilson, so sometimes coming off the bench. I think he also has had a bit of 6 alongside that number 8 jersey. And Boxer built by South Africans, mate, says Fareed. When did anyone argue with that, Fareed? I feel like you're arguing. Oh, no, there we go. Doc was trying to get into it. Are they still playing? They are not at the moment. It is halftime in this matchup, 21 points to 12. What 700 odd, or with 700 odd tuned in, time to hit the like button, says Trevor. Yeah, anyone who hasn't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button as well. We are going to be live all throughout the weekend with a few of those matches that we did just mention. Also, the rest of the British and Irish Lions tour, we're going to be covering on the channel too. So yeah, if you are new, of course, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. I'd say we're only about 5 minutes away from the second half of this fixture getting underway. Going to be an exciting one. I do just feel like the Reds still have something in them. Half Irish, half Australian. The Lions tour is an absolute dream come true. Thanks for covering it. Says Evan White. So yeah, you got the best of both worlds in that regard. Yeah, those test matches, they should be thoroughly entertaining. Whereas the Māori All Black Scotland game played in New Zealand, or Scotland, it is being played in New Zealand. Would you ever consider starting a food review channel, Amish? Probably not. I don't think I have enough knowledge of what food should taste like to be able to review it well. Plus, I'm pretty fussy. So, like, it probably wouldn't work with the amount of foods that I wouldn't eat. So, it would be a very basic food channel. It would just be me reviewing hot chips from different locations. But if that's something you guys want to see, we can make it happen. Star performance, sounds like Itoje hammering. Perhaps to little effect, Daily faultless. But maybe not involved so much. Scotland back shaky, Gibson Park star performer. Says Jay, I think that Gibson Park's looked in control in that number 9 jersey. I also think that in the breakdown, it seems to be Jack Morgan as well as Jack Conan who are really putting in the big shots. Dewan Fundamuva, he's had a bit of a 50-50 kind of half. You know, he had some good moments with ball in hand, but then also had some defensive blunders that put his side under pressure. Hugh Jones, to me, has probably looked this is going to sound harsh, but probably looked the worst out of the backs at the moment. And then Freeman, you know, he's been okay when he gets the ball in hand. He has scored himself the try. And then, yeah, Daly looks strong at the back. G'day, fellas. Says the big VHO. Eating hot chips sounds just fine, Amish. Granted, you give an honest review and eat it slowly. Says Christopher DeVette. And what's up, people? I didn't know they were playing during the week, says Xander. So, yeah, it is a busy British and Irish Lions tour. We will show it here. These are the matches that are coming up. So next week there is also the midweek contest taking place between the Brumbies and the British and Irish Lions. That is the Wednesday night game. And then also the only other midweek game, aside from that one, will be this one that's happening on a Tuesday. First Nations and Pacifica XV taking on the British and Irish Lions in around 19 days' time. Just showing Hunter by Sami, carry meters 15 so far, post contact meters 7. It's not a huge amount for Hunter Paisami. Normally he likes to get around that 50 and 60 like they've just said. Does Itoje look like a starter? It depends on who else you're going to play in that number 4 jersey. Like, I feel like as a guy who is the captain, he's probably going to start the big matches anyway. You know, but like he's done all right in this game. I'd say that he's had a couple crucial moments in the breakdown. We haven't really seen too many line-out steals, although before the game, he did mention about how their line-out for the Reds is such a strong one and one of their best attributes. And I, Amish, Annie and me have just tuned in, was busy making another batch of yogurt, says Bruce. And also, g'day fellas, says the big VHO, welcome in. Now, who's Bryle? It is Joe Bryle. And the number 8 jersey, when are the Barbarians playing again? Possibly October or November. No other matches, I don't believe, have been confirmed for them. Chisholm, the second lot, going well. I think that Chisholm, like, I think there was one handling error early that I can think of, but other than that, you could almost argue that he's looked possibly better than Itoje in terms of a bit more active. We've seen a lot more of him throughout that first half. But yeah, like, I don't think there's anyone who's really played awfully, really for either side. I think it's been, like, Finn Russell probably hasn't been as active as he was in that game up against the Western Force, but that's just because he's been shoveling the ball on. And it's been the midfield combination of Arki as well as Jones had that possession a bit more. Plus, we've seen Elliot Daly joining the line, coming in as about a second or third receiver. You reckon the Reds will fall off? Will they give the Lions a scare in the second half? I think that the first try will tell us exactly the answer to that one. If the Reds concede first, I don't see them getting back. But if we see the Reds score first, I think that will make the Lions just a little bit nervous, but that's good. That's what they need in these build-up games. Rather than just having clean sweeps and easy pickings, they want the challenge, but they also want the challenge, but not the loss that could come with it. But the sooner the better when you get a commentating job, RTE, BBC, ITV, all hire terrible and weak pundits. The broadcasters have killed sport up here. The banks and the broadcasters, says David. Yeah, the amount of people that I've been talking to recently about the fact that most of these games aren't free to air. Like, I thought the idea was for the British and Irish Lions tour was to get many people watching and try and find as many as you can to kind of take up the sport, not so much take up the sport, but just take an interest in the sport as it's one of the biggest events outside of the World Cup. Salakai Lotto, just give it to Mauro. Having too much fun out there, says Dainui. Yeah, he ended up kind of swatting him round, didn't he? I think Mauro tried to go for the cheeky clean out in the breakdown, and Salakai Lotto kind of dropped the hips and spun like he was doing a bit of Muay Thai or something. Or Jiu-Jitsu maybe, I'd say. He just didn't have his gi on. We have got there. Enjoy the commentary from Dingle, and Ireland. From John, thank you very much for being here, and Lions will win. I assume that is from Nathan. And also get Hamish a job as a commentator, Sky. Says Johnny Blaze, an evening, Hamish. Oh, sorry, Hemi. And just got home from work pretty knackered. Says Spider Mick. Joja, here comes Eben. Says Fareed. And there as well. Of course, Eben needs to be first game back for the Springboks coming up this weekend. We still have to wait to see what the Italians are going to throw out there on the field. The All Blacks announcing their squad to take on the French tomorrow, and that's going to be at about 11:45 a.m. I can be doing the video for that as soon as it is announced. Michael Bryle was the dad of Joe. Oh, so he is the dad of Bryle. Talking to Charlotte Caslick at the moment. She is channeling her inner Alona Ma in terms of the bright red lipstick. You mean to popularise rugby? Says Bruce. I guess so. Sounds a bit too formal for myself, though. We prefer using slightly hip terminology, you know. Brendan, we get to pay the BBC and then still don't get to see the rugby. It's a unique business model, says Jay. Yeah, it's brutal, isn't it? Because, you know, even if it was, let's say they just show, I know that it would probably be annoying for people, right? But let's just say they show the midweek games. Even though most people would be working during that time and wouldn't get to see it, it still shows, you know, where at least they're putting an effort in. You know, or just show the weekend games of the build-up matches. Leave the midweek ones for the people who have the paid subscription. Like, there are ways that they could do it that would definitely draw a lot more eyes to this tour, but it seems to be all about the money. But the thing is, sometimes they can make more money from not charging people because of the ad revenue. What is the symbology of your night and day background? There's nothing behind it, really. It's just pretty much Suncorp Stadium. I had another picture of Suncorp Stadium. It was too blurry, so I just put Cape Town because it's what we had on the weekend. Enjoying the commentary from, it is Tralee and Kerry Island. I'm listening while working, says Glenn, with the brackets or the thingies around it, quotations. And tour used to be about bringing big-name players to the region so local communities got to see international stars. Now it's about the dollars. Says Studs Rays, and Tom Curry is nowhere near the level of Josh Van den Flower. His hands are terrible, says D1997. Why British and Lion Hemi? Why British and Lion Hemi? Is that like, why is that the name? Or why are we covering it? Or what's the go? Is James Lowe playing? James Lowe is not playing, but more than likely James Lowe will be playing this weekend. Normally what happens with the squad, why British and Irish Hemi? As in, like, why is it called that? Because there's players from Britain and Ireland in the game. Charlotte Caslick was with the red lippy. Says Johnny Blaze, and hope the Lions boys go watch third State of Origin game. How good. The shame is they are playing at the same time, which I think they've done terribly, because it makes no sense the fact that the Pacifica game the week after can be on a Tuesday, yet the date that they decided to go with for the Brumbies match is the Wednesday, the same as State of Origin, because that straight away is going to knock massive numbers away from watching that game for the Brumbies, because people will be watching the decider of State of Origin. The Lions got too much power and will take it away, but the Reds won't stop trying and they will get their tails up. Well, that would be great to watch, says Tainui. But now, Maroa Toje and his Lions side back out there on the field, ready to go. Excuse my English, Hamish. I like to talk proper. Not like what you lot does. Yeah, that was very proper, Bruce. We have there surely make one or two of the two warm-up games free to air, would bring in more people's attentions, which may lead to more people actually being willing to buy a subscription to watch the actual tests. Exactly. Like, you got to give them a taste. You got to give them a trial. And, you know, some people, like you said, they might see those warm-up games and go, yeah, I might get myself a little match pass for those later ones. Now, kick downfield from the Reds as the second half back underway. And now 30 metres out from the line, it will be the British and Irish Lions who have got the throw. Big smile on the face of Kalani Thomas. He's just absolutely loving to be there. That's proper for the 19th century, perhaps. Says, cool story. And how's it, Hamish? Says Anthony. But now, you throw it in for Ronan Kelleher. What of the home nations do you most enjoy watching / supporting? Says Blair. See, it's a tricky one, because, like, people ask what my favourite team is, and when I tell them I don't really have one, they think I'm lying. But I think we've just covered so much rugby from different countries. Like, we cover the URC, we cover Super Rugby, we've covered the Sevens, we cover international rugby from all around the world. So I get very used to being impartial. And I think that that's kind of taken me away from any sort of, like, alignment with most of the teams. Finn Russell, bit disappointed there, gets a slap on the back of the head from Bundy Aki for dropping that one. Have you rearranged the score? You would have my PIN bank code, scary fact to broadcast. But you had so much time to not broadcast it on the right. You wrote the whole thing out. You went, yep, that's good. Scary fact to broadcast. At no point you thought, well, actually, I might backspace that. I might take that away and say something else. Just to make it safe. As Pollard playing, says Wahadin. He's not playing in this game, but he is playing in the matchup against the Italians. Tim Ryan with a bit of space there. Sitting 40 metres out from the line now. Kalani Thomas back across to Sururu. Mention about it. This next try is so crucial for both of these teams. 65k, love your thoughts, Hamish. Says targeted individual NZ. Thank you very much. Yeah, reaching the big 65000. Very recently, please change your PIN code. Says Christopher DeVette. Could be worse. Score could be 22-22. Says on the right. Now nicely taken from the British and Irish Lions. Elliot Daly now trying to go through was Freeman. It's off to Gibson Park. Are you neutral when All Blacks play the Box at Eden Park? I probably will be. Like, we've covered both of their games in terms of, like, we covered the whole World Cup run for the South Africans as well as the whole of the World Cup for New Zealand. We've covered probably 50 test matches for both of those sides on the channel. So, just another day at the office. Nicely taken by Jock Campbell. Gets around Duan Fun to Merva from showing a little bit of pace. If you have 4 different numbers, it'll be my PIN code. Well, there you go. And the game against Argentina was shown on the Irish language channel, TG4. A little bit of a rough pass there from Sururu. Dropped short of his teammate, Matt Fezler. Who I think that's one of the first time we've said that man's name. Crack up at the Reds won tonight. And also the Welsh language channel showed it too. True. So the Argentina match was shown. And then for the actual tour, they've decided, no free-to-air for anyone. We're going to have it all behind a subscription. And sounds like Daly is having another good game, says James. Yeah, he's looked solid from the back. Definitely has a late injury replacement for Hugo Keenan in this one. G'day and Talofalava, I should say, from the game, Hamish. James Martin here. So hopefully you are enjoying the atmosphere. Is it full? at the stadium, James. I know they were expecting about 55,000. And my bank pin code consists of numbers. Well, there you go. A hacker's probably trying to work those numbers out as we speak. We have there Six Nations free-to-wear in the UK and Ireland. It is, yeah, I think so. I believe, not full, says James. It's important for rugby to not let chasers win, Hamish. Says, cool, he's doing very well, though. Now Bundyaki, big run, straight at Hunter Paisami, who eventually gets him down, but probably about 10 posts, goddamn meters. Gibson Park goes through, pops it up to Maro Atoje, who reaches out. And that is the fourth try now for the Lions. That's the one that the Reds could not afford. The Rugby World Cup in 2 years could be a hat-trick for the Box. New Zealand are hungry, though, I bet, says Heaney. Six Nations is free to wear in Ireland, says Glenn. And hi from Ireland, come on the Lions. Says Starlight. And Maro Atoje now does score the try, but it was the big break and run from Bundyaki. 3 men to try and drag him down. And then Gibson Park with the sneaky snipe. And Maro Atoje with the outstretched arm to get try number 4. People talk about the French B team. There's no such thing as B team, says Spider-Man. It is certainly a weakened French side, though. But yeah, like B team does just sound harsh because at the end of the day, it is just the squad, isn't it? We have got there happening from Benidorm. From Scotland, Russell is the GOAT, says Shadow there. Now, my big question is, was it Russell who wrote that, or was Russell in the room, perhaps? And opening them up and straight through, says Doc, and try for Atoje. There absolutely is such a thing as a B team, lol. Says freshman, but kicked off long by the Reds. Now Gibson Park. Let's look to kick this one into touch, and that's a great kick again. Probably got about 45 metres on that one for Gibson Park. Finn Russell is unbelievable. Says Starlight, got some money on the Lions, winning by more than 25, little scared. Says Bjorn. Wait, so you got the Lions by more than 25? I think you'll be all right. To be honest, I should quickly, there you go. That'll make you feel a little bit better. They did actually score another try. It just had an updated on the scoreboard. Now, loose ball at line-out time, but the Reds have managed to claim it. Maro Atoje gets his hands over the ball and doesn't manage to get the turnover. Must have just lost the grip of it. Kalani Thomas trying to get through Andrew Porter. Dodges Maro Atoje. He's proven to be a little bit of a problem for this Lions defence. You need to invest in a pint pot. I don't swig from the bottle, says David. And how is JM playing? Only Welsh lad left on the tour. He got a couple turnovers in that first half. But yeah, massive shame about Thomas Williams. I do think that he was going to be one of the standouts for them throughout those Wallabies tests. That is going to be a high tackle against Will Stewart. The Reds get themselves the penalty with the Red strong in Super Rugby. They made it to the top 6. They were then knocked out by the Crusaders in the playoff stages, though. That's a bit of a harsh one for Will Stewart, as we did see Josh Canham really slipping over into that tackle. Would it be bad for rugby if the Springboks won the next World Cup with an 8-0 split without scoring a try in the final? I mean, I don't think we can guarantee no tries for them, because at the end of the day, you know, last year they did score an abundance of them. But, you know, it will be intriguing to see what happens with the 8-0, but it's within the laws. You know, it is frowned upon by some people, but it's nothing that isn't, like, legal. So they're allowed to do what they want. Now, Kalani Thomas, back across to the right-hand side. Aiden Ross, big shot on him by Will Stewart, who's got his bum out. Now, Kalani Thomas, back across now to the right-hand side, finds Bryant. Thomas, 40 metres out from the line. Harry McLaughlin Phillips almost went through, up to 6 phases in a row. The Reds puffing a bit yet. They don't look too bad, if we're being honest, like stamina-wise. And I do think that's because they have just finished Super Rugby season. Like, yes, their last game was about probably 3 or 4 weeks ago. But, you know, they still don't seem too bad in terms of fatigue. Lockie Anderson, low tackle on him. Tom Curry thought about getting into that breakdown. Paisami decides to hit it up at the line again. Tackled by Will Stewart and Thomas Williams. Definitely giving himself a shot at the bench minimum. Absolutely. Like, I would pick him over Mitchell. Gibson Park probably would get that nod. But yeah, I think that he was definitely at least the second choice, if not first, depending on the combo. Like, combination of him and Russell seemed to be working pretty nicely, although it is also doing quite nicely with Gibson Park and Russell here. Low tackle made from Jack Morgan. Up to 14 phases in a row here for the Reds, and they haven't actually made a meter. They keep going forward and back, but still waiting for that big line break. Lukan Salakai Alotto. Tackled by Ronan Kelleher. Kalani Thomas goes back across to Aiden Ross. It is persistent and it is patient at this stage from the Reds. Oh, they've got an advantage now, so that will change things. Hunter Paisami. They're going to throw a little bit more of a risky play. You've got their Bundy Aki, most love Kiwi and Island respect. Says Starlight. And Barbars are just a bunch of players who doesn't made it to their national teams. Says Given. That is literally what the Barbarians are, yes. And to be fair, I think the club teams tend to break against the depth of the Lions late in the game. Says Bjorn. And missed that half due to the team's meeting. The score looks bang average. Says Johnny. It looks like the Reds, after that penalty with 30 minutes left, are going to kick this one towards the corner. Sounds like a few changes about to happen as well for the British and Irish Lions being forced. So Genge is on, Bielim is on, Mitchell is on, Cowan Dickey is on. I think they've also got the change of Finn Smith onto the field too. So that is 5 changes at least that we have seen. I think it's easier to say the ones who didn't make their way onto the field, and that is James Ryan, Ben Earl, and Gary Ringrose. Everybody else at this point in time has been switched. Oh, yep, Alex Mitchell on for Gibson Park. Got any other changes? Don't think so. I think that was all of them for now. How many handling errors have the Lions been making? But now I hope the cohesiveness has improved. Still probably a few more than they'd like. I'd say that they're probably up to about 6 in this game, but that is just an estimation. But yeah, it's got better second half as well as second half of the first half. So, you know, between 20 and 40, I think they probably only had a couple handling errors and total. Big shot on Jack Conan, another advantage. Going the way this time of the Lions. Jack Conan's boot has fallen off his foot. Now short ball to Chisholm, going down the left-hand wing. Still got another advantage. Maro Itoje pops it back to Finn Smith for his first touch since making his way onto the field. Hugh Jones trying to find a gap. Okay, Jeffrey Tormung-Allen, he looked pretty slow getting back up to his feet there. So maybe a couple of those Reds forwards are starting to feel, although I actually think Jeffrey Tormung-Allen might be injured, which is why he was a bit slower up. How does the Jones-Archie partnership look? I don't think it's the one that they'll use. I feel like Hugh Jones out of the backs has probably been one of the more rough players, to be honest. But, you know, Archie, that flat run that he had for the Maro Itoje try definitely showed, you know, he's got a pretty good chance of being in that 12 jersey, but I do think they're still slightly hunting for that 13. Because who did they have in the Force game? Was it Sione Tuipulotu at 13 or was he at 12 in that match? But kicking down towards the touchline, it is the Lions yet again. Back in the days, the Barbarians used to feel the best of the best. Not nowadays, but that's just because of the international rugby window, that their games are normally taking place during it. So it makes it very hard to field those top sides. This team is very close to the test group, says Morris. And also Russell should have gone off, should be going off soon. Commonwealth for 10 or 17 days, says Jay. Yeah, I do think he got taken off for Finn Smith. Lukan Salakai Lotto, he's taken off for Angus Blythe, and their number 20 jersey. Matty Faisley, he's gone off for Josh Nassau, and Isaac Henry is on for Josh Fluke. Finley Beelham, currently sitting 15 metres out from the line here, the Lions. The thing is, 54-7 was the score between the Lions and the Western Force. If the Reds aren't careful, a couple quick fire tries, that's another penalty going the way of the Lions. But, you know, you're looking at the potential of a very similar scoreline if the Lions run away with this, even though the Reds have played far better. And that's just the tough reality of playing this group that if they can stay in it for long enough, you have a chance. But this is now a very telling period where the Reds are starting to not get the ball as much. They put together 20 phases but went nowhere. So they weren't willing to throw that risky play. Ringrose against the Force, says Jay. Yeah, so they may just look at that Archie Ringrose combo to be a little bit safe. Although, there could be other pairings that they just keep on persisting with until they work. We have got the Lions players and staff will be loving the warm Aussie Queensland weather. Or winter, says Johnny Blaze. Well, that's the thing. At the moment in the UK, last weekend anyway, there were temperatures around that 30 degrees Celsius and whatnot. So, if you're one of those guys who are going to be flying over due to an injury, you're going from living the luxury of the nice warmth, although it's possibly a bit too hot, to then coming over for a nice chilly type of weather. Right, scrum is the option the Lions have opted for. The Lions could be better than the Satyrs, says Hanoi, as they probably should be, being made up of England, Ireland, Scotland and Wales. You like to think it would beat most club sides around the world. De Groot, Taylor, Norris. Oh, Norris at 3 is interesting. I don't think he's played 3 all season. Barrett and Holland, Satiti, Savia. Satiti are injured. Leo Willie is the 8. Roy Gard, Barrett, Clark, Geordie, Tava Nawai at 13. As my starting 15. Says Tamahai. Is that in an ideal world where everyone is not injured, I assume? Now short ball. The Bundyaki on the right-hand side. Picked up Jack Morgan, the Welshman. Does score the try. So we've had Duhan. We've had Freeman. We've had Morgan. What country am I missing? I think we're missing an Irishman. Have we had an Irishman score in this game yet? Who scored the early tries? I can't... Oh, Porter scored, didn't he? So I think we've had a try from every single nation in this matchup. But just nice passing from Mitchell. Finds Morgan. Cuts through, and that is another try. And now makes the score 35-12. This is a nice, easy kick for Finn Smith, so that's why I'm saying it is 35. By the singular Welshman in the squad. Yeah, holding the weight of a nation on his shoulders at the moment, Morgan. He is the man wearing the most close colour to the Welsh kit, I guess you could say. Yeah, I think Elliot Daly got smashed in that one. And yes, Jack says John. And British and Irish Lions must play the Barbars. Also, every now and then, I personally think it would be great to see, says Jan. Yeah, see, I love the matchup that was the Barbarians versus the World XV. That they just randomly threw together and they said, here's a match. But then they haven't done it since, and I don't know if they're ever going to do it again. So I'm not sure whether or not it was just down to having a bit of spare time in terms of the international window. Duan Fundamerva running down the wing, look for the offload, but he finds Lockie Anderson. The Reds now have got the ball 40 metres out. Relentlessness in the breakdown from Luke Cowan-Dickey, who's gone straight through the middle, and I believe Maro Atoje has ended up with this one. They're already at the end of a very long season, says James. And also we have got their Reds, Tormunga, Allen, Fluke. And also we have got their Freeman, Porter, Fundamerva, Atoje, and Jack Morgan for the try scorers for the Lions. Says Kiwi Rob. Or we'll put Fletcher Null number 3. Says Tamahai. That would be a decent choice. That's going to be the penalty now on the way of the Lions again. This one's starting to break down, ladies and gents. 22 minutes left. This is where it starts to get that little bit ugly because the Reds gas tank is starting to show fatigue. And that is when we will see very much excitement, I would say, from this Lions team because they will get to throw set pieces all over the place, whether that's a cross kick coming up or the rolling maul might be on the cards here, sitting about 12 metres out from the line. I think if the Lions keep on as they are, I think they will do the whitewash. Is Newell available? Well, that's the thing. He had an injury, or at least they were checking on him for an injury, right? But I would think, like, if it was something severe enough then we would have heard about it by now, similar to what we have for Williams and Satiti. So he might be out of the running for this first match, but there might actually be a couple other guys. Like, the only one that's kind of confirmed is out of the running could be Jacobson. Other than that, though, there's really a chance for anyone. But hopefully Scott Robertson will clarify when guys are returning, because, Null did have an injury at the end of the season, didn't he? But I don't know what extent that was, because he's still in the environment and has still been training, I believe. Our last 2 tries, or another 2+ tries coming for the Lions. What do you think of Aki so far? He's been pretty solid in this matchup. He runs the ball flat and hard, as you would expect. But now backline movement. Here's Bundy Aki with ball in hand. Flick pass out the back. Oh, Morgan slips over but pops it up to Daly. 3 meters out from the line again. And the Lions, they seem to be making meters far too easily. At the moment, the Reds find themselves scrambling on their goal line. Finn Smith off to Alex Skenge. Now Mitchell. Skip pass out to Jack Conan. I don't think they'll be too far off bringing Ben Earl onto the park with just the 20 minutes left to up the intensity even more. Mitchell goes off now. Short ball to Hugh Jones, who has wrestled down. He really wanted that try. You could see in the way that he was running at Mitchell with the short ball to Freeman, who's over again, and the score moves up to 40. Like I said, they've played a lot better than the Force, but the Reds might actually end up conceding more points here. And we have got there, it's just my side if the All Blacks did pick these players against France. Aki always plays well, star man. Says James there. Areas is getting cold, lines are hot. Says Doc. Bundy Aki puts in the fend. And just the slipping over from Morgan as he all but closed in on his second try of the contest, but instead the second goes to Freeman, who really shouldn't have been able to get over there. But Jock Campbell put in the hit. Lockie Anderson, in fact, that was Isaac Henry, kind of hit him on the wrong side and helped his momentum spin him over the try line. 2 or 3 more tries if they keep possession or concede. That kick from Finn Smith is successful, making the score now 42 points to 12. And the Lions could hit 60. It is a possibility. 54 in their game up against the Western Force. This game was split by 9 at half time. It is now split by 30. Canham is off. Ryan Smith comes on. Kalani Thomas off, and that'll be for Wershon. So whether or not we see some sort of extra oomph now from this Reds team, but they just need some possession, I think, is the main thing. They've given away a couple penalties, dropped the ball, a couple times too many in the second half too. Oh, but they have managed to tie up a Toje off the kickoff there. And it will become a scrum feed now for the Reds. Big scrum chance. 18 minutes now. Do you think the Argentina game put a bomb under the Lions players? I think that some of those guys in that game would certainly be more fired up now, knowing that, you have that loss under the belt, because there's a huge amount of pressure on these British and Irish Lions players to go into a tour and win. And in these warm-up games in particular, any of the losses in these ones, the media turns against them. Did you say Isaac Henry? I certainly did, yes. He did come off the bench as the number 23, I think, in this contest. He's partnering with Hunter Paisami in the midfield. But will Wales beat Japan? Probably. Well, the thing is, they haven't lost too many players to the Lions. So there's still a relatively, what is at the moment considered a full-strength Welsh team. But Japan are tough to beat. And I feel like the Māori All Blacks at times found that out, because they have got such a strong scrum. Oh, Daly's hurt his rib or his wrist. He's holding his hand. This does not look good for Elliot Daly. Bundy Aki's got cramp. He's trying to pull on his toes while also trying to run. He is now down. What is the extent of Daly? Uru. Oh, this doesn't look good for Daly. He initially had a rib injury just a little bit ago, but Daly, he's holding that forearm. We're going to see the replay here. Maybe shoulder, but more so, Oh, he's holding kind of that wrist, and it doesn't take a lot to snap a wrist. It looked like maybe his hand wrapped around the hip of Jock Campbell, so hopefully he's going to be all right, but he does look in a lot of discomfort daily. That would be 2 form players in 2 games that the Lions would lose if he is unable. Oh, I think I just saw him say shoulder. I'm not the best lip reader, but I think that might have been shoulder. Finn Smith is at 10. He is, yes. They decided to take Finn Russell off a little bit earlier. Big respect to Elliot Daly, always seems to get on. But as always, class. 3 Lions series in a row, says Johnny Blaze. And Aki has to be nailed on. O'Gara was spot on. He is Farrell's go-to man, says Tommy. And yeah, he's just one of those guys that you can put it out here, or you can put it out there on the field with pretty much anyone in this Lions team. And, you know, he will do relatively well. Right. He's happy to play on. Do you need to risk him, though? Like, surely you put Gary Ringrose on instead and say, okay, he's got sore ribs, he's got a sore shoulder, maybe as a fullback, that's the time to take him off, isn't it? Oh, Aki sneaks through, makes those few extra meters. I would just hate to see it extend to something more serious for Elliot Daly, because the amount of times that we've seen a player continue and then you end up seeing them pick up the season-ending injury. We have got, yeah, sad to say, but Daly injured just as Kinghorn turns up. Maybe not so much left for him in the store, though he's in by 23, says Jay. And where all the likes Hamish deserves, it says Nigel. Yeah, anyone who hasn't already, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Looks like Daly's still talking to one of the medics in back play while they are setting up this line out. Feels weird watching you, having a few lagers on a cold, overcast Wednesday afternoon in Johannesburg. Any lager time is good, but I'm happy you're here. Says Robert in there too. Now line out throw. Chance here for Josh Nasser. 5 meters from the line. The Lions looking to roll forward. Oh, he broke off the back, but Mitchell muscles up and manages to stop him. 15 minutes left on the clock. Back across to this left-hand side for Sean. Oh, almost had a knock on it. Toje rushes up and manages to steal the possession. Alex Mitchell, skip pass, goes out to Ellis Genge. Now Finn Smith from inside of his 22. Daly's defending out on the wing. He's defending with his arm dangling. What are they doing? All right, Hugh Jones has got the interception. Get Daly off the field right now. Hugh Jones manages to score the try. What are they trying to prove by leaving him out there? He was literally defending like that. He looked like he was half shrugging. So if any of those players for the Reds have run at him, his shoulder would have been completely done. Hey, everyone, get this video to 500 likes, says Tamahai. But great full field try coming from Hugh Jones. He ended up managing to charge down that kick of Tim Ryan. One on Lions, off you go, son. And give it up to the Blues guys. Says NZ guy. Yeah, Daly's arm's not working. So he's probably extremely happy. But no, he has to go off the field. I have no idea why they haven't switched him, because Ringrose is still available to make his way on. And they beat them. Says NZ guy. Right. Is this Daly just too tough for his own good? Or is this poor management? Finn Smith missing that one away to the side. Score now sits as 47 points to 12. And imagine red card, says Tamahai. Well, that's the thing. A red card can be quite costly here for the British and Irish Lions. And try by Scotland, says Doc. It would be an interesting tally to keep track of how many tries from each nation are scored. Of course, Wales are at a little bit of a disadvantage with the fact that Jack Morgan has to carry them. But, you know, he scored. Right, Daly's now off for Ringrose. So that is about the smartest thing they could have done at that stage. Daly's that goodie, and then he's one arm and one leg, says Jay, and Daly is a true Lion. Great spirit, never give up, says David. Alrighty, that's all I needed to see. 99 Amish and everyone. As always, great call, says Studs Race. Now ready to throw this one in for Josh Nasser. So Ringrose is on. I assume they'll have a little bit of a reshuffle here Queensland B team is getting more hammered. Says Honor, and Daly is a big-hearted player. I hope it's not too serious, says John. Yeah, I want to say it might be some sort of, I don't know if it's dislocated or more so maybe just a stinger on the shoulder, and maybe that's why he tried to continue playing. He thought it wasn't as serious. But yeah, that arm wasn't moving when he was trying to run, so that's a little bit of a concern. Suncorp Stadium should have run the Broncos and let Payne Haas, Paddy Carrigan, and Reece Walsh play for the Reds. Right, tackling the player off the ball, going against Maro Itoje. So it does mean that Reds will have the line out. We have the Queensland's Reds 12-41. Possession 49-51. So pretty close overall in that department. 12 minutes remaining though. And the Lions, if they get themselves another try here with a conversion, they will get the exact same score as they had in their game up against the Force. The only difference is they have conceded 2 tries in this game rather than the 1. Now Angus Blythe popping it up now, looping around. No, goes into touch from Connor Anderson. From Lockie Anderson, I should say. When we see your mum back on the channel, she was great, says Robert. At some stage, I think we'll have to get her back on. And they've really pulled away, says Liam. Yeah, I think that the second half, it was going to be so crucial for the Reds to score first when they were 9 points down. And then the Lions, since then, I believe have scored 4 tries. Johnny Sexton on my screen says, Doc, you're part of that British and Irish Lions coaching panel. Line out throw now for Luke Cowan-Dickie. Toje claiming it. Pops it back to Mitchell. Finn Smith. Sounds like we're calling an England game. With all of those names. Cross kick. Oh, Hugh Jones. He was hopping there for a second there. In fact, might have been Tommy Freeman who did land awkwardly. Drop ball coming from the Lions. Now a chance to be able to counter-attack. Connor Vest passes on the outside to Lockie Anderson. Cutting back inwards. There's been a huge amount of defensive errors from the Lions in this match. They have been relatively sound. Also, it just seems like the Reds have run out of plans of how to break through. Another big shot coming in. Strong defence. Kiwi Rob is in first place on Top Chat. Says Liam there. Who scored? So the last try that was scored by the British and Irish Lions was Hugh Jones on a breakaway try. Now, Angus Blythe. Oh, there was a tackle. Tom Curry ripped the ball out of his hands. It looks like it is just going to be play on. George Blake. Still 45 metres from the line. This is where the Reds have spent quite a bit of time when it comes to their attack for this half. Just not quite sneaking through. Wonder whether or not a different plan for tactics. Hunter Paisami, he's been quiet in this game, but he gets the pass away to Siru. Great offload there. Oh, what a fantastic tackle by Alex Mitchell. He didn't even get to wrap. He pretty much used the back of his arms while falling backwards to push him into touch. And come on, the Lions get to the 50 points, says George. Yeah, they got a pretty decent chance. But yeah, Mitchell just making a tackle from falling in a backwards position. Yeah, just does enough to push Lockie Anderson over the sideline. Now Luke Cowan-Dickie, 40 metres out from the line. The Lions with just the 9 minutes left in their first of 3 midweek fixtures. The next one will be up against the Brumbies next Wednesday. Their match beforehand up against the Waratahs taking place on Saturday. Oh, loose ball. Now taken, Hugh Jones. Kicks down the middle of the field. Any standout Lions players? I would say Daly was looking very strong before his injury. Gibson Parks looks solid and looks like he's going to be the 9. We've also seen, Aki had a pretty solid game overall, and I don't think Morgan's done too bad in that number 7 jersey either. Maro Itoje looking for the steal. Doesn't quite get it. Partially charged down kick from Harry McLaughlin-Phillips. Kicked him behind Finn Smith. Looking for the 50-22. Got a bit too much on it and it will roll dead. So we'll go right back to the halfway line. Is Mitchell playing for the Reds or the Lions? Mitchell is playing for the Lions. There's Alex Mitchell, the English international, off the bench. I'm sad Johnny Sexton retired. Says Tamahai. Have they played Queensland Maroons players? Pretty solid team, isn't it? The crowd for this match is 46,435. Highest Reds crowd since Lions Tour 2013. That's pretty obvious, I guess they could say. Vince Smith has been a poor 10 so far, says Shadow. Yeah, it does seem like Finn Russell so far has had more control from that fly half roll. So Maro Itoje, maybe some sort of rib injury here. I'll just keep an eye on him. I believe they've already... Oh, no, in fact, they still have James Ryan that they can switch. So, yes, he's the captain, but once again, as soon as a guy goes down with an injury in one of these warm-up games, you take them off. There's no need to risk them at all because at the end of the day, you can always, you got someone ready to replace them. And when you're leading by this much, you don't need them out there for the last while. Those chips look good. They're like a hot chip. She's got a Lions face mask as well. That is fun. But last minutes of this contest, the Lions, they need a converted try to get the 54 points that they were able to score up against the Western Force. Perhaps the trend of these matches will be each game the Lions score 54 and then they concede one extra try. By the time we get to that Wallabies matchup, it would be a 54-54 draw perhaps. This would be up to about, 7 or 8 tries apiece. An out big scrum from the Reds. They've got themselves the penalty advantage. They look like they've got no interest in taking that one, so instead, they will go back for it. I think that was Sev Fargasi. Managed to win that one. You've started your Chips Food channel already, says Jay. Oh, looking for touch. Not a good kick from the Reds. Stays in the field of play. Duan van der Merwe trying to run it sideways. He's wrestling with Isaac Henry, who manages to take him down. Did very well as Van der Merwe just trying to enforce some physicality on Henry, who is one of the more physical guys out there on the field for the Reds. So 12 points is all we see from the Reds, seems like it. I think so, which is a shame because, like I said, they've played, I'd say probably about, for that first 50 minutes, I'd say that they probably played 2 or 3 times better than the Western Force. But I guess if you say they played 2 times as well, then they have, I guess, got 2 times as many tries. So it kind of checks out. But Tim Ryan now, kicking this one downfield, trying to play the territory, although back there to cover was Tommy Freeman. Let's go for a kick of his own. The last time I was in one of your streams was back, All Blacks played Argentina 2022, so that's been a little while. Nice run down the wing for Lockie Anderson. Chips it downfield. Oh, he's kicked it out on the full again. And now it's going to be a Lions line-out throw. You think Les Kiss might have been the wrong person for the Wallabies. See, here's the big V8 show. It's hard to say without them playing a game, with him as the coach. Of course, the Reds, they've had some very good moments throughout this year, but until we see him as an international level coach, playing or coaching the international team, I think it's too early to judge. Because you see some of those guys who have great international records who had really average, lower level records. But Force were tough for 80. Lions felt they were a tough game. Says Jay and good day, Hamo. These sides, or these state sides in Australia, are missing the hard-nosed Africans, says Blitz. Now, free kick. Well, in fact, penalty for tackling the player in the air, going against the Reds again. They'll be pleased with this performance. Lions scoring 7 tries. I thought it would be closer. And honestly, after the first half, it did seem like it was going to be a bit more tight, but the Lions, they've shown... It's a weird one to say, but they've shown experience not as a side, but as individuals in terms of how to control this type of game. Knowing that they were up by 9 at halftime, they did seem to try and push that pace that little bit more and see if they could take the Reds out of the game, and that's exactly what they've done. Short ball there goes to Ben Earl. Oh, Mitchell almost got played as a 9 there. Ball's loose. Knock on there from the Lions, and the Reds, they'll have themselves the scrum. The British Lions need a song. I think they have got a team song, but I can't remember it. But there is some sort of chant that they have. Just the 4 minutes remaining now. Someone make a sign for the British Lions. I think they've got one. I think there's one that they'll have. They'll at least, if it's not like an official British and Irish Lions one, like they'll have like some sort of team bop that they have that everyone likes. Could be Eye of the Tiger, perhaps. Different feline. The Lions will probably pump every Australian Super Rugby side like how they pumped every South African URC side in 2022. So here's Johnny Blaze. It's Sweet Caroline. So here's Christopher DeVette. There we go. Now 3.5 minutes left. Louis Huchon put this ball in. Scrummy Jack Pub having toasted cheese and bacon sandwich. Sounds all right, doesn't it? Oh, another free kick. Oh, turns into a penalty there. Too much movement for the Lions front row, which I will be honest, I've really struggled to get the hang of the way that scrums are being refereed. Like we see there, I think it was Alice Genge as well as Luke Cow and Dicky going like, what are we supposed to do here? And David Campese complaining about having Kiwis coach. He insisted Aussie's board to use Aussie coach. Says Doc, I'd like to change my prediction. I think the Lions may get up. Probably not a bad prediction at this point in time. There was a guy earlier on who said that he needed the Lions to win by, was it by 25 or by more than 25? Because if it's by 25, you know, he'll be feeling pretty safe about now with the 35 points difference between the two teams. Now kicked high by Alex Mitchell, chased by Duan van der Moor. That was dangerous, the way he double pushed that guy who was in front. Now Blake passes back across. Good hands from Harry McLaughlin-Phillips. Now just the 40 metres out from their line, the Reds. They've had a couple chances, but just nothing really equating in the second half. I think the Lions squad for this tour are going to be very good setup and a very strong team going forward into the test, says Ryan. Yeah, the next challenge for them will be up against the Waratahs in the breakdown, though they win yet again another penalty. That's Jack Morgan, of all players. He has been one of the standouts for this Lions team. So South Africa wins Saturday. They'll be number one. Yes, they will remain as number one. They can't actually gain any points, I don't believe, from their game up against the Italians, but they can lose them if Italy somehow cause the upset. Jack Morgan, yeah, ripping into that breakdown, getting another steel power of 4 as a song name. Says Tamahai. Visits to opposition 22. 13 visits for the British and Irish Lions. When is your next stream? I believe it will be on Saturday. Either for the under-20 game between South Africa and England, or it will be potentially either Māori All Blacks versus Scotland or All Blacks versus France. Said more than 25, so he's safe, says Mark. And also, I can't wait for someone to beat these overhyped Lions. Don't know if it's my Scottish ancestry or my South African anger over the war, but I can't stand any UK team in any shape or form. Sounds like a deep-rooted issue for yourself, Robert. I'm in bed with the cold. I seem Lions are too strong for the Reds, and they are looking for one last try with 30 seconds remaining. Bounce pass to Duan van der Merwe, keeps the ball alive, goes to Genge, trying to run away from Harry McLaughlin-Phillips. Ball stripped by Hunter Paisami. Now chance for the Reds to close out this game. Paisami goes through, looks for the offload, finds it to Isaac Henry. But Jack Morgan again in the breakdown, rips it away and wins another penalty for his side. That's got to be like 3 or 4 turnovers in this game for Jack Morgan. 2 in just the last 5 minutes. Right. Are they kicking for the corner or are they kicking for more points? It looks like they're kicking for the corner. They want their 54 points on the board. It's a great kick from Finn Smith. 5 metres out. Chance here for a rolling maul. Deep rooted for sure, says Tainui. We have got there Morgan as man of the match. I think those last couple turnovers probably put him a long way towards it, doesn't it? How many rip balls do we have this match? It's actually been quite a few. Definitely for dry conditions. You know, it hasn't been because of the slipperiness that we've seen it. It's just been pure grit from the sides of wanting that ball back. Now Cowan Dickey throws it into Maro Itoje. Morgan is playing well and he has earned his place in the Lions, says John. Now, not really making... Oh, no, now it's moving for the Lions. They're being told to use it. Mitchell, no, Ben Earl thought he'd go off the back. Shut down. Now Mitchell goes through his legs. He didn't see it happen. Does the dummy sell? Only 2 meters out from the try line. Now around the side. Oh, spinning their advantage now in play. It was held up, but they'll go back for another penalty in favour of the Lions. I think this is just going to be a quick tap and go situation. Mato Itoje throws it back to Alex Mitchell. I hope they're going to kick for the corner again. Testing out that rolling ball. Smart move at the end of the day. Or are they? Oh no, they're just going to go the tap. I was going to say maybe they are just trying to get that set piece sorted. But no. We have got there. I'm so angry with the ancient Egyptians. They stole my triangles, says John. Now around the side. 2 meters out. No advantage just for now, but 82 minutes in. And certainly a clear advantage on the score sheet for the British and Irish Lions. Finlay Beerland plays half. Mitchell goes across Hugh Jones. Skip pass. I think it might have been deliberately knocked down by the Reds. So they're going to go back for, yet again, another penalty. Okay, right now it's lost sport in the tackle. So I think they're going to check this. But if it stays as knock-on in the tackle, it will be the end of the game. Great South Africa can't win any rankings. But Italy, when they can lose points. Says Kiwi Rob. Morgan is playing for Williams and has added motivation above all others as a lone Welshman, says Jay. Oh, tell you what. I think there's nothing more. It's just a penalty against him, Ryan, for the deliberate knock-on. So it won't be a yellow card. But it is going to be another penalty going the way of the British and Irish Lions, who still want one last try. Now, what are the Lions' next match on tour? Says Mornay. The next game that they have got is up against the Waratahs. That has taken place on the Saturday, 5th of July. Now, scrum is the option that the Lions have gone for. Then they will be playing the Brumbies mid-game next week. Or midweek is their next one after that. Yes, Q Rob, that's what happens. When you're at the tippity top, says Chris. England to score the next try, says Doc. Right, so who have they got? They've got Finn Smith as an option. They've got Mitchell, Ben Earl. Quite a few guys who did make their way off that bench. Luke Cowan, Dickey, Alice Genge. All in with a shot. Tommy Freeman, I believe, is still out there too. But now the big scrum, no advantage, going the way of the Lions. They'll go off to the right-hand side. Skip pass out wide. Tommy, no, it's Gary Ringrose who found himself on the right wing. And the Irishman scores the last try of the matchup with a tough kick to come, which could make the score 54, which would be the same as they had in their last match. England to score the next try and get real. No one beating the box, says Tai Nui. And I also know I'm wrong, Ireland try. And when the test match is going to start on that one, I think it's about 15 days until the first test match. 16th of July. So, yeah, 14 days or so until that one. Well played, the Lions. Says John, yeah, solid performance once again from this team. And still learning about what they can do better. And Ringrose from the bench to the try line. Happy belated Canada Day, everyone. Says Gus. And Box will lose to Ireland when they play them in the Aviva. Says destroying people, but Finn Smith now lining up this kick from the sideline. Does he get it? I wanted them to get 54 again, but 52 points is what they will have. 52-12 the end score. And now in 2 matches, the British and Irish Lions have scored 106 points. Finn Russell just kind of dipped Henry Pollock like they were doing some sort of dance. But sure, they will be very happy with that performance once again. Bit of a shame this game, but happy to have been able to join you lot, says the Big V8 Show. And it is great to have you here. And thanks, Kiwi Bloke, says David. Yeah, big weekend coming up, ladies and gents, with all of the rugby that has taken place. We will be covering probably about 6 or 7 matches on the channel. So if you are new, of course, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. But all nations for the British and Irish Lions being able to score tries here. Jack Morgan, that man was working hard. Managed to score the try, got about 3 or 4 turnovers won throughout the game, so he's probably right up there in terms of a man of match candidate for this contest. My 12-year-old son is kicking at 86% accuracy. All cons are taken from the 22. Plays open side and kicks for the sticks. So here's Johnny plays. So his accuracy, I remember you mentioning about it last time, saying that he was the kicker for his team, but obviously he's doing extremely well with his kicking. And good job. Thanks again, says Jay. Thanks for the midweek delight and great listening from Budapest. Thank you. Says Mark, no worries at all. And yeah, hope you guys are excited for the upcoming weekend. British and Irish Lions, next game, they are going head-to-head with the Waratahs. That is supposed to be on Saturday night for us here in New Zealand and Australia, but there is also a chance that there may be weather in New South Wales could affect it. I don't think it will, though. I think they'll still end up playing, and they should be all right. But if there is any change, of course, we will be keeping you informed. But nonetheless, I do thank you all very much for being here. If you did enjoy, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Tomorrow at 11:45 p.m, the All Blacks are announcing their lineup for their game up against the French, and we will be doing the video around probably 12:30 p.m. New Zealand time there. But yeah, enjoy the rest of your evening / night / morning / evening, or I said evening, lunchtime, I guess, afternoon as they call it. And we'll see you all for the next one.